What's up, man? What it is? What it is? Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, man. What's up? Let's get it. Oh man. Happy Father's Day to all the brothers. Willie D too woke to be this man's friend. A lot of people don't like Sperling. Timothy said I lost a lot of respect for Dennis and unsubscribed from him. He was a raccoon talking and putting the blame on Carmelo. Oh man, Dennis Sperling, man, what's going on, brother? Dennis Sperling gonna say this though. This is what this is what Dennis Sperling gonna say. He gonna say Negroes just don't like the truth when it comes to law. Um, he's gonna say that, well, I have no dog in this fight. I'm just breaking down the law because you guys are speaking from an emotional point of view. I'm just breaking down the law. So you can get mad at me. You can get mad at me all you want. See, that's what Dennis is going to say in his defense. I already know it because if I was Dennis, that's what I would say. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Timothy, what's good, brother? If you really like the content, if you really love the foundational Black Americans, we going to stand up, man. And we going to do our thing. Listen, man, I don't know if Dennis is a raccoon. I wouldn't necessarily call Dennis a raccoon. I would say that Dennis, I want to, you know what? I'm gonna watch it before I give my opinion. Yeah, I watch it first before I do that. But yeah. But the crazy part about it is, a lot of our people, they ain't got a problem with Sambos and sellouts. Angry Man said that Juneteenth is a stupid holiday and he still got black followers. He still got black supporters. Now imagine that. A dude who claims to be black that celebrates St. Patrick's Day, but he calls Juneteenth a stupid holiday. But guess what? He still got a lot of black followers. So what does that say about our people? See, a lot of these black conservatives, they realize this. They know there's a lot of black people who agree with them. And they know they like, man, I can talk crazy to black people and still get their support. And I can get a white fan base. I'm going to make way more money pandering to these Negroes. That's exactly that's exactly how they look at it. I'm going to make way more money doing this. Now, they looking at it like this, brothers. They like, man, I can get a white audience. I can get a white audience, but still keep my black audience. That's how channels grow like that. Because think about this. I'm gonna use the angry woman for an example. When the angry woman used to make content like female nature content, or he might talk about some political things, this is way before his channel blew up, right? Before he started getting subscribers. Angry Man was stuck at 27,000 subscribers, and that's when he used to curse out Kevin Samuels, and he used to curse out everybody on the manosphere, well, in the manosphere, because he said that people was just hating on him. People was just hating on him, and he would make videos cursing people out in his car, right? He made several videos cursing out Kevin Samuels. He got so pissed off with black people criticizing him. He got so sick of black people comparing him to Kevin Samuels. It got to the point to where he just said, you know what, I'm going to start talking crazy about Negroes. One day he looked at, one day he took a look at his Google AdSense check and he realized how much money he made and how many subscribers he got. He said, you know what, I'm going to keep talking crazy to Negroes because that seemed like it works. Speaking for these Negroes ain't building my channel. They ain't even hitting my cash app. Now that I'm talking crazy about black people, I'm getting more subscribers. I'm making more money. I'm getting over 10,000 a month on Google AdSense. So what happens is they'll double down and start talking crazier about black people because money, cash is king. Cash rules everything around me. Cream get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all. Cash with the money. Cash rules everything around me. Cream get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all. Yeah, I'm talking about the angry woman. The angry woman realized talking crazy about black people makes more money. So he said, why say nice things about black people when I can make more money talking crazy about them? But it all started, let me tell you something. It all started when he felt like he wasn't getting his props and people was coming to his channel to talk crazy to him and compare him to Kevin Samuels, and that would boil his blood. Oh, it used to boil his blood. So what he started doing, he said, no, I'm gonna become a Sambo. I think being a Sambo is more profitable. Being a Sambo is more profitable. So you know what? I'm gonna go to the other side and just start talking shit about black people every chance I get. And guess what? It worked for him. When Angry Man started talking crazy about black people and telling black people they ain't nothing, they ain't ish, his numbers started to go up. His numbers started to go up. And he realized that. See, Angry Man is not a dumb guy, but he's not a smart person either. He's mediocre at best. He's average at best. He realized that talking crazy about black people was bringing in more money. So that's exactly what he did. He said, you know what? I'm going to come on YouTube every day and tell Negroes they ain't shit. I'll make way more money talking like that. So that's what Angry Man did to grow his channel. He started talking crazy about black people, and it worked. Now, Tampon Daniels, on the other hand, he started out like that. He been raccooning since day one. He been raccooning since day one. Him, Tariq Nasheed, Tommy Sotomayor said Kevin Samuels got his game from them. Well, he did. Kevin Samuels took a lot of Tommy Sotomayor's concepts. The thing is, Kevin Samuels had more discipline than Tommy. Right? Kevin Samuels was better at delivering a message because Tommy was so controversial and his language was so vulgar. You know, he got himself kicked off of the platform. But if you really look at it, yes, Kevin Samuels learned a lot from Tommy Sotomayor. Tommy Sotomayor was one of the first brothers in this space really getting to the money. So everybody has watched Tommy Sotomayor at one point, whether you agree with him or not. You watched him at some point. So yeah, man, Kevin Samuels took a lot of notes from Tommy. The thing is, Kevin realized where Tommy went wrong. So Kevin Samuels was like a polished version of Tommy Sotomayor. I'll put it like that. Anyway, man, let's get into the topic. That's not what you came here for. Let's get into the topic. Texas lawyer breaks down Carmelo Anthony fight footage. Let's get it.
These are kids whose minds haven't even fully developed, and we have a dead child. We cannot have a society where we allow children to kill each other because of a push.
Willie D Live.
If you kill Anthony of murder, and when we look at the evidence, first of all, we have to start off the fact with there was a knife. There's a young man who's dead, and in the great state of Texas, if you kill and a confession. So if you kill somebody in the great state of Texas, more likely than not, you're going to go to prison. Let's just start with that. If you kill somebody, if you kill more than one person, you're going to get the capital murder, and you're going to get the death penalty more likely than not. You'd be lucky to get life.
He right about that. But let me say this before I move on. Kevin Samuels wasn't a Sambo. I'm talking about like the female nature content. Tommy's a Sambo. Tommy's right about things, but Tommy is so much of a tap dancing Sambo that it takes away from his talent as a podcaster, because it's like, dude, are you serious? You know, Kevin Samuels didn't have to become a raccoon to make his money. I'm going to tell you why Kevin Samuels is much better than Tommy. and Angry Man put together. Angry Man started bug dancing to make his money on YouTube. Tommy Sotomayor, he's always been a bug dancer. It just got worse as times went on. It just got worse. His hatred for the community got big, right? And Angry Man took a page out of Tommy's book. So Kevin Samuels didn't have to become a raccoon to become successful, and I can always respect that. Angry Man put on his tap shoes. He sold out. Angry Man had to sell out to get to the level that he's at now. And if you can't see that, then you're just not being honest with yourself. So we know you're not going to be honest with us if you're not honest with yourself. But anyway, let's get back to the content. Carmelo Anthony fight footage. Was he jumped? Was he getting pressed by a bunch of people?
If you kill somebody in the act of robbing them, then you're going to get capital murder. If you hurt a child under 10, capital murder. If you hurt an elderly person, capital murder. Okay, so let's step down from that. If you murder somebody, you more likely than not you're gonna get life. If you just straight up murder somebody, you're getting life. If you murder somebody and you're in the hot, passionate, or you didn't mean to do it, it was negligence, guess what? You might get manslaughter. You get manslaughter, you get murder. Let me run a scenario by you that happens, and this is where the action starts. Now
I will say this: there's no way that white people was gonna let Carmelo get off with self-defense. Like, you're gonna have to take something, buddy. You're gonna have to take something. I know you're saying what's fair. I told you this country wasn't built to be fair with us. So you stab a white kid in a white majority county, they're not gonna let you walk on self-defense. But then, like I said, I don't know. Was Carmelo Anthony? Did they offer Carmelo a plea agreement, a plea deal? Because I don't know if a plea deal was offered. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you guys. Because people said, well, I look at it like this. You know, me being locked up before, me being locked up with people that's getting a whole. See, I never did a whole lot of time, but I've been locked up with people who did catch a lot of time, and I've seen how the courts work. I knew for a fact that Carmelo was gonna have to do some time. There's no way they was gonna let him walk for stabbing a white kid. There's just no way. My only thing is this: like, why hit this kid with 35 years and premeditated murder? We know none of this was planned, but then they're gonna say, well, why did he bring this knife to school? That wasn't no small knife. He brought a shank. What Carmelo had on him, like, if that's the real knife that he had, the knife that they showed, they're gonna use that, and the fact that he stabbed his white kid. There's no way they was gonna let Carmelo walk on it. There was no way they was gonna just let him walk. That wasn't gonna happen. The thing is this: they should have said, we know he's gonna do some time. The thing is, how much? How can we reduce the amount of time that he's gonna do? Let's go for manslaughter. 10-year sentence. He come home in 5. Because to be honest with you guys, I know as black people, we want to say what's fair. And there's no way they was going to let him walk, bro. There's just no way. That's not going to happen. White people are out for blood. They wanted to make an example out of Carmelo. So to all my people, if you really thought these white folks was going to let him walk on self-defense, you doing some bad dope, man. You doing some bad dope. And it's messing with your brain. It got you discombobulated.
See Carmelo running off to the right, okay, running down the steps. He's taking off. You see him sprinting, getting out of there, moving along. And at some point up here, he's gonna slow down. He's getting outside the gate. There's a guy pointing out. There's people chasing him now because I guess they think he's trying to run away. And at some point, he's going to encounter the police officer, and he's going to say what he did. Now, if you have the police officers, they're pointing, you see the people behind him pointing that he did it, etc. If you have the police officer's body cam footage, you can hear Carmelo Anthony give what would be considered excited utterances, basically saying, he touched me first, okay?
Treating the victim, again, he's on a north.
It's I don't know if Frisco is a sundown town, but what I do know is it's a majority white county, and white people run the criminal justice system. So with that being a fact, there's no way that they was going to let Carmelo Anthony walk with self-defense. It's just no way they was going to let that happen. Them white folks made sure that that wasn't going to happen. This is why they stacked all the odds against him to make sure that they got a conviction. And they didn't want, listen, they wasn't looking for no 5 to 10 years. They wanted first-degree murder. They want Carmelo Anthony to rot in prison. There's no way he was going to walk with self-defense. No freaking way. I'm just being real with y'all, family.
End of the stadium.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
Again, he's on the north end of the stadium.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
That's the alleged suspect.
I am. No, I'm not. I know how it goes. I'm not alleged.
Okay. Watch your head. All right, see a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay?
Yes,
all right. So your first name is Carmelo?
A-R-M-E-L-O.
Okay. So you hear what he said?
Man, white people still pissed off about O.J. Simpson, man. They're still pissed off about O.J. Simpson. And O.J. was found not guilty, but in the eyes of white people, he is guilty. So white folks are still pissed off about that, man. So with that being a fact, there was no way that they were gonna let Carmelo get off with self-defense, especially when you think about the fact that they're still pissed off about O.J. Simpson.
Well, this is what the jury heard. This is what the jury heard. The jury heard he put his hands on me. The jury heard a confession. So we have a dead body, and we have a confession, and we have a murder weapon. It's really difficult to get around that. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute. We've all seen verse 48, right? What's the first thing your defense lawyer tells you to do?
The first thing your defense lawyer tells you to do is to shut the hell up.
There you go. Now, let's say Carmelo, and look, I know people, what happened has already happened, okay? But if Carmelo Anthony has said, I don't have anything to say, I want to talk to my lawyer, then we could argue some of these other arguments that people are throwing out there. Oh, well, Austin Metcalf fell on the knife. I've heard that before. I've heard somebody say, oh, it was a defensive plunge. So in other words, you lunge at somebody, they have a knife out in front of them, and they lunge into you and fall on your knife. That's.
Now, I don't know if that happened. Now, I don't see that. But then again, we can't see in the tent, so we don't know if Austin fell on the knife. We don't know because they're not really showing us what happened in the tent. We could easily say we could see him running off. We don't see what's going on in that tent. So until they show us what's going on in the tent, we really don't know what happened. We're just speculating. It's all speculation at this point. Until they give us a video that shows what happened in that damn tent, play by play, we're all just speculating to a certain extent. White people gonna say that Carmelo is guilty because a white kid lost his life. We're looking at it like this is a black kid. I believe he was joined, so we're gonna stand on business to protect Carmelo, just like they're gonna stand on business to protect their people. So we're not wrong for taking a stand with our people, because one thing we do know is white folks gonna stand up for white folks regardless. Why you think they raised $3 million for Daniel Penny? Because white folks gonna stand with white folks. Why you think they raised money for Chud the Builder? White folks gonna stand with white folks. Why you think they gave $1 million to that white woman, Shiloh Hendricks, to call that black baby the N-word? Because white folks gonna stand with white regardless. Right or wrong, white gonna stand together. That's a fact, homies.
There's no intent in that. You see? Now, maybe you pull the knife out, but you never actually poked him. But because he said what he said, he put his hands on me. I warned him not to. And here's the thing, man. This could have easily gone worse. I've seen some instances where, you know, you get a motion for new trial and you end up worse off than you were with the original trial. So, you know, that's a game that you play. Now, You know, and I've had time to think about, again, I don't like the practice of criminal law. I don't like it. Don't want to do it, but I know the reason. Let me just tell all the reason Willie D brings me on this broadcast is because I don't have a dog in this hunt. If you bring a prosecutor on one of these shows to talk about a criminal case, they have to advance the position of the prosecutor. Because if a prosecutor who is an active prosecutor, whether federal or state, comes in and tries to be reasonable.
I'm gonna tell you why you right about the sentence being too harsh, because you can tell that he didn't plan on doing it. Now we can say he shouldn't have the knife, right? People do stuff every day that they shouldn't do. So we could say, okay, he had no business taking a knife to school. Okay, cool, right? I get it. You're not supposed to bring a knife to a school event. Facts, right? But we also have to look at this. We can tell that it wasn't premeditated. You can make the argument that he had the knife on him because he was ready for, you don't know what he was dealing with. He live in Frisco. He could have had white boys picking on him. So you don't know why he had the knife. So when I hear dumbass black people say he was planning something, because well, only time you carry a gun or a knife is if you plan on something happening. These black people are going to help white folks to convict Carmelo. Niggas who talk like that, ninjas, my bad, excuse my language. Ninjas that talk like that are working for white people, whether they realize it or not. Well, if he had the knife, that means he was planning on doing something. You got people who carry knives and guns every day. They're not planning on hurting somebody. They just carry them for self-defense. You're not going to convince me that Carmelo planned on stabbing somebody that day. You're not going to convince me that. There's no way. I know killers when I see them. Carmelo is no killer at all. He poked Austin. It just happened to hit the right spot. Is Carmelo a killer? Absolutely not. He's an accident murderer. He's an accident murderer. He's not a real killer. If you've been in the trenches, you know exactly what I'm saying. But if you're a gang goofy Gilligan who just posts videos and you're just a podcaster and you a square that's never been around, that's never really been in the trenches, that's never really got their hands dirty, then of course you don't know what you're talking about. You're just an internet nerd with a YouTube channel. You have no experience when it comes to combat and physical activities. You're just a gang goofy Gilligan with a YouTube channel that happens to be in the algorithm. Let's call it what it is. Social media, and listen, the internet has made nerds and Sambos famous. The internet has taken some of the sorriest people that never got attention, that never had respect in the community. They took some of those individuals. This is why you got nerds and Sambos who are famous. So the internet is a gift and a curse, right? But when you really look at it, the internet makes all the wrong people famous in our community. The Sambos, the people who talk about the dumbest stuff ever. That's what YouTube promotes.
An objective and tell you what the defense attorney is thinking or what they should be doing, then guess what? The next time they go to court and they have a case with that very same set of issues or fact pattern, that particular defense attorney is going to say, well, hey, you on Willie D's show or one of these other major shows, whether it be cable, and say, well, you said this here, sir. Are you now making the opposite argument? You see, and then that makes that now they have to fight with what they've said in the past. If you get a defense attorney who comes on here and say, yeah, the prosecutor was right, this guy was dead wrong, he's going to lose all his clients because the people are going to say, well, look, man. And matter of fact, the prosecutor who appears with
talking about the prosecutor, I mean, you know, Dennis Sperling does know the law, so I'm listening to what he's saying. So consider all of that. But yeah, man, the internet, listen, without the internet, people like Anton Daniels would never be famous. Nobody in the black community would ever respect somebody like that. The internet has made nerds and Sambos famous. The internet has taken some of the worst people in our community and promoted them and pushed their content through the algorithm. The worst of us. Females who show their ass all day that have no talent, YouTube promotes that through the algorithm. That's dumbing us down. They take all these Sambos, sellouts, and nerds and promote all the wrong stuff in the algorithm. If you take the internet away, nobody listens to a Tampon Daniels or an Angry Man. everybody would call them sellouts. They would never be accepted. The internet has made Samboism and coonery acceptable. Tell me I'm lying. The internet has taken nerds who never had women in their real life and made these guys famous. They took the worst people in our community and platformed them. But that's what white people do to cause confusion. They take the worst of us and promote them.
His defense attorney said, well, you on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, and you said this on Fox News, and this is the very same fact pattern, Mr. Jones. And so now what's different? So you lose credibility. So a prosecutor is going to prosecute, and a defense attorney is going to defend. When you have somebody like me on here, I don't care one way or the other. I don't like it, so I can give it to you straight. I can give you the facts straight. And basically, you have a dead body, you got a confession, you have a murder weapon, and you have dozens of witnesses who saw it happen. On top of that, you have some video footage, you have confessions. It's all bad. This young man was going to prison. The only people that think Carmelo wasn't going to prison are regular lay folks. The judge knew it, the DAs knew it, lawyers all across America knew it. Anybody who's hell, you can go to the penitentiary, and most of them will say, yeah, we knew he was going to go to prison. It was too much.
Who didn't know he was going to prison?
Well, I agree with Dennis right there. A lot of black people made it seem like he wasn't going to prison. I'm like, man, if you ever dealt with this criminal justice system, he's going to prison. One thing's for certain, and another thing is for sure, he was going to prison. The thing is, how long? That's the question. Like, he's not going to get away with it. He's going to prison. The question is, how much time is he going to serve? That's the question. We already knew he was going to prison. Now, those of us with common sense, but there was a lot of people in the community. It was self-defense. I'm like, you could say that, and it might be true. But when you think about the circumstances, when you think about where this situation took place and how everything played out, nah, man, them white folks are coming for blood. There's no way they're going to let Carmelo walk with self-defense. There's no way white folks was going to let that happen. Let's go.
Based on the evidence.
The DAs knew it. Lawyers all across America knew it. Anybody who's hell, you can go to the penitentiary, and most of them will say, yeah, we knew he was going to go to prison. It was too much.
Who didn't know he was going to?
When people, I see people saying like, Tommy, do you know that Tommy took a lot of stuff that people was already saying in the community? Do you think Tommy is the only one that said, tell me I'm lying? You think Tommy made that up? See, a lot of you people been raised by the internet. You're not really from the community. You didn't grow up in a community like that, because if you did, you would know that's a common thing to say. Black people, especially back in the 90s, well, man, tell me I'm lying. That was a common thing for black people to say, especially in the 90s. In the 90s, that in the early 2000s and the 90s, that was common for black people to say. Yeah, I got this. Yeah, I got it cracking. Tell me I'm lying. Listen, man, you internet raised people. A lot of you internet babies, you think Tommy created a lot of this stuff, and Tommy did not create a lot of this stuff. Tommy was the first one saying it on the internet. Please understand that. I'm not going to come up here and tell you I was the first person saying Gilligan, because that was a word that was used back in the 90s amongst players and Max. Amongst pimps, players, and Max, they would say, man, this dude is a Gilligan. He's a goofy, meaning he's lame with no game. He don't know how to dress. He ain't got a mouthpiece. He's a goofy. He's a Gilligan. I'm the one that listen, now, when it comes to game goofy Gilligan, that's me. Can't nobody say, oh, no, King Supreme got that. No, I'm the one that came up with the game goofy Gilligan, the Triple G. That's me. But I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I'm the first brother that called somebody a Gilligan. I would be lying if I said that.
Not based on the evidence, based on the fact that he being tried in Collin, racist ass 53% white county. And this is a black boy accused of killing a white boy. This is why everybody knew he was going to get railroaded. And you got not an all white jury, but a jury that's comprised of not one black person in a racially charged case. Come on, man. The prosecutor, the judge, supposed to be the judge got to say, no, man, we ain't gonna let that happen. The prosecutor got to be like, man, let me just get 1 or 2 in here, so when I get my conviction, they won't be able to come back on appeal with it. Come on, man. You can't go in there. You can't do a racially charged case like this, man, and not have one black person on there where you got a black person being accused of killing a white person. In America, hell no, man. White people ain't that not.
Game Goofy been out, but Game Goofy Gilligan is my slogan. I just added to it. I'm not going to pretend like I came up with Game Goofy. Game Goofy Gilligan comes from me, though. Triple G is King Supreme for sure. So, and when Tommy was the first person on the internet just saying things that black men been saying behind closed doors before the internet got popular. Like when a black man was, oh man, tell me I'm lying. If you grew up in the 90s, you would say, man, that was common to say. Damn, man, that was a common thing to hear. Tell me I'm lying. These internet babies think Tommy made that up.
Non-biased. They just not. They've shown us time and time again they cannot be non-biased in these type of situations.
Willie, let's do this. Let's flip the script. Let's say this trial happened in Harris County. Then you got an all-black jury in Harris County, and we're gonna remove the race of the defendant, and matter of fact, we're gonna make them both black. Do you think an all-black jury would have convicted a black defendant who killed another black boy because he pushed him, stabbed him in the chest?
No.
Here in Texas.
First of all, okay, say it again. You said an all-black.
If we got a black judge, this is a hypothetical because the internet they won't hype. What if this? What if? Okay, fine. My position is that an all-black jury with a black judge, black prosecutor, black defense attorney, a black defendant, black victim, they would have still found this young man guilty of murder because he killed somebody. You killed a black boy, killed another black boy. You don't think it stabbed him in the chest for pushing him? You don't think that an all-black jury would find murder?
I believe so. He would still go to jail, even if it wasn't premeditated or second degree. He's still going to go to jail. I disagree with 35 years because I don't think Carmelo was trying to unalive Austin. I don't believe that. You're not going to convince me that he was trying to do that. This is something that happened spare the moment. It wasn't planned. So when they give him 35 years and then they release the video on Juneteenth, that's white people trying to send a message to foundational black Americans. That's their way of sending a strong message. Oh man, we're going to release the video on Juneteenth. We're going to get his kid 35 years and then release the video footage on Juneteenth. Yeah, white folks trying to send a strong message.
I say maybe, maybe not. He got a better chance with an all-black jury. He got a much better chance of getting a fair trial with an all-black jury. So answer that, Dennis. Would he have had a better chance if he had an all-black jury as opposed to the one he had?
He would still have been convicted of murder, in my opinion, based on these facts. However, I'll say this. However, the only issue was whether it was going to be murder, manslaughter, or murder where you go to jail for 35 years, or I think it was 0 to 99. An all-black jury may have said, well, he was defending himself. They may have given him the benefit of the doubt, but he was still going to go to prison. You see, that
he was still going to prison because think about it. Case analysis in the same situation. This is why I said that Tampon Daniels is a coward. Jason Whitlock is a coward. Angry Woman is a coward. All of these black conservatives are cowards, and I told you why. Casey Allison took a knife to school and stabbed a kid to death, stabbed him multiple times. He gets convicted. They convict him on reckless homicide. He gets 10 years. He's coming home in 5. But Casey Allison got the complexion for the protection. He's a white boy in the state of Texas. Carmelo Anthony, on the other hand, they want to fry Carmelo because he's black. So we all see the double standard when it comes to race in this country. And listen, you can't even say, well, Casey Allison, that was another state. No, it was the same state of Texas. Happened in the same damn state. The only difference is Carmelo is black, Casey Allison is white. Carmelo gets convicted, 35 years. Oh, he planned it. Give him 35 years. Maybe he can come up for parole in 17 when he's 35, 36 years old. You see what I'm saying? And still then, and there's still no guarantee you're eligible for parole after you do half of the time. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it. Who knows if you're going to get into some fights in prison? Who knows if you might have to stab somebody? When you go to the parole board hearing and they heard that you stabbed somebody and been into fights, they're going to say, nah, he ain't ready for society. Tell him to come back and tell him to see us in another 10 years. Next thing you know, you ain't got a parole hearing in another 10 years. You will be 46 years old, but you know, by the time you get your second parole hearing, because these white folks got your life in the palm of their hands. Just like they say, it's easy as hell to get in, but it's hard as hell to get out.
That's where the racism comes in. See, he was going to get locked up that day. He was going to prison that day. The question was whether it was going to be manslaughter or murder. And you and I had this conversation. I said, I'd be surprised if he got anything less than murder. Now, again, it could have been manslaughter, but this particular jury found a way. They found a path, and it's a legitimate path to determine murder. They did not believe that this young man, the amount of force that he used in response.
No, what they said is after he does 17 years, he'll be eligible. I know for a fact they said that, bro. They said it several times. He gets 35 years. They say he'll be eligible after he does 17 years. That's what they said. And by that time, Carmelo will be 36 years old. By the time he's eligible for parole, if they don't file this appeal and try to get his sentence reduced. You know what I'm saying?
To his
one thing for certain and one thing was for sure is Carmelo was going to prison. I already knew that. There's no way that white folks was going to let him walk on self-defense. There's no way. White people still pissed off about O.J. Simpson, man. There's no way they was going to let him walk scot-free. There's just no way. White people are out for blood. They wanted to make an example of Carmelo, and that's exactly what they did. Set him up for failure. No blacks on the jury, set him up for failure. The judge is crooked. The prosecutors are crooked. Everybody in the damn court building is crooked. Carmelo had everybody working against him. Not just racist white people, Sambos like Tampon, Sambos like the angry woman, Sambos like Jason Whitlock. So you got racist white people that's coming at you, and you got black Sambos that's coming at you. There's no way you could win. They set this whole trial up for Carmelo to lose.
That attack was reasonable to justify murder. It didn't rise to the level of deadly force. Now, again, let's go back to this. We got to talk about these internet. They say he was jumped. I didn't see that on the video. I didn't see him getting packed out on the video. The jury didn't see it.
It
So that's why they didn't.
Very difficult to see anything on that video. I heard that there's a clear video out there.
But they also didn't hear it. So I heard that too, but where is it? I heard that too. Somebody, but we didn't. It wasn't.
And this is why I say he was railroaded. Answer this question for me, Dennis.
Yes, sir.
As someone who have practiced the criminal law, as someone who knows the law, just as a reasonable person.
Yeah.
It's funny when white people talk about accountability. I got an idiot in it. I don't know who he's talking to, but I'm going to just say this overall. I need everybody to get the lights up. White people, they're the last folks who can talk about accountability. They burned down several black towns and were never held accountable. None of those white men who unalive Emmett Till were ever held accountable, right? White people have gotten away with more crimes than anybody in this country. White people have gotten away with bombing whole towns, unaliving whole tribes of people, erasing history, rewriting the history just to practice white supremacy. Nobody has gotten away with more crime, with more heinous crimes and murder than a white man has. So when I see white people talk about accountability, it is laughable. Nobody has gotten away with murder more than a white man in this country. The system was built to protect white men and white people. And that's the honest to God truth. White people created a system to protect them from prison and accountability. It's been going on for centuries. This is nothing new here.
How plausible do you believe it is that you had all those kids out there and not one recorded it, when you know kids love recording drama? The moment they think something might happen, they start recording. They said that KARMELO was sitting under that tent for about 3 minutes before the altercation occurred. That means youngsters got plenty of time to pull those phones out and start recording. And we ain't got one recording? Come on, man. That's why we knew he was going to get railroaded. We ain't got one recording, bro. Not one. Ain't nobody answering that question. Nobody wants to know why. Where are those damn videos? I submit to you that somebody got paid off and intimidated.
Well, what would the video recording of the killing change?
The video recording would show exactly what happened. Because right now we're leaning on the understanding or the testimony of Austin Metcalf's tribe, his friends, his schoolmates. We're leaning on and the testimony of people who was intimidated by the prosecution and investigators. Yeah, you think it ain't? Do you think that that's not going on in Collin County, where people are being intimidated and threatened to not give full testimony?
Well, here's the thing, Willie D. There were other people who weren't even from Collin County out there. It was a track meet. You had grown-ups. You think these people are gonna lie and put their life? I mean, you can't. Yes. If you lie on this, well,
there's a million precedents for it. Yes, they will lie.
Okay.
They will lie and put their reputation on the line. Yes.
Okay.
We've seen it happen many times.
There were 20 prosecution witnesses. There were 4 defense witnesses. And let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Carmelo Anthony. Number one, he didn't take the stand. So the only thing we have to go on is the body cam footage and what was.
They're not showing us what happened in the tent. Until we see what happened in the tent, we're all just speculating. It's natural for blacks to take the side of Carmelo, and it's going to be natural for whites to take the side of Austin. That's America. America was built on racism. White people built this country. White people built this country. Well, they didn't build it. They used us to build it, but you get what I'm saying. This country was built on white supremacy and racism in favor of white folks. Let's go.
Recorded in the police report from.
Until we see what happened in that tent, we're all just speculating. Now let's go. I need hit the like button. Let's continue.
The body cam footage. He said he touched me first. He never said they jumped me. They touched me first. So out of Carmelo Anthony's own mouth, he never said he was jumped. The only people to start saying he was jumped was the internet. Carmelo Anthony never said that. So you got to think, man, he was
anxiety was kicking in. Cortisol and anxiety was in his system. Then you got to think about the fact that he was 17. So he wasn't able, I'm pretty sure Carmelo couldn't articulate himself the way that he would want to. So it was best for him. Carmelo wasn't ready to take the stand in his defense because they're going to use all that stuff against him later. So it's best to get all the evidence together first before you let Carmelo say anything. That's my honest opinion on it. Why let a 17-year-old or a 19-year-old talk before you gather all of the facts first? Because everything he say will be held and used against him. So with that being a fact, it'll be smart to keep his mouth shut and let his defense team work on piecing all the evidence together. Let's go.
Question is, on the body cam footage, he said he touched me first. He never said they jumped me. They touched me first. So out of Carmelo Anthony's own mouth, he never said he was jumped. The only people to start saying he was jumped was the internet. Carmelo Anthony never said that. So my question is, if this is what the jury heard, If this is what
Well, Casey Allison is white, so they're not going to put him away for 3 decades. Casey Allison got the complexion for the protection. Who runs the criminal justice system? White people. So things are going to work in a white person's favor. That's what you call white supremacy. There's a system set up. They got a system in place to protect them. So when we say white supremacy, I'm not talking about a white man in a damn Ku Klux Klan and what a Ku Klux Klan had, or an ignorant white boy with a swastika. We're talking about white people who control the criminal justice system, white people who control these corporations and companies, you know, stuff like that. White people that's in positions of power. White people who have the power to change your life. You go to prison, they give you 35 years and give a white boy 5 years. That's what we're talking about when we say systemic racism and white supremacy. Casey Allison and Carmelo Anthony is a prime example of that. Carmelo stabbed somebody once. He gets 35 years. Casey Allison, a white boy, stabbed somebody multiple times. He comes home in 5 years. He gets convicted on reckless homicide, similar to manslaughter.
Evidence is presented, you have a path to conviction. So again, I can't focus on what the jury didn't see. And I'm not.
And guess what? Both of these kids stabbed somebody at school. Casey Allison stabbed somebody at school. The difference is Casey Allison stabbed this kid multiple times and he took a knife to school. Carmelo took a knife to school, stabbed somebody once. He gets 35. Casey Allison gets convicted at 10. He'll come home in 5. Listen, homies, that's all the proof you need to understand that black men serve more prison time for the same crime white men commit. That's a prime example of what I've been saying. Take it to the bank.
Speculate as to what's out there. If it's not before the jury, it doesn't count. It's just like this. It doesn't matter what happens. It's only what happens. The only thing that the jury can relate to is what's presented in court. That's the evidence. Evidence has to be presented in a certain form. Otherwise, you could just start making up stuff. Somebody could come along and say, well, he did this to me, he did that. We've seen that happen in a lot of other issues related to SA. Somebody comes out the blue from 30 years ago and said, you did this. There's no evidence, but because they said you did this, and now we're talking about a civil matter, preponderance of evidence, which is a very low standard to meet, you lose your fortune. You get sued. And so we have to have a gatekeeper sort of situation when it comes to evidence. We can't just rely on speculatory evidence. If it exists, it needs to come.
Well, we're all speculating to a certain degree because we don't see what happened. They don't have a clear video to show what happened in that tent. Until they release a video to show what happened inside of that tent, we're all just speculating. Now, we can use our common sense. I got enough common sense to know that Carmelo didn't plan on stabbing somebody that day. Carmelo was just used to carrying a knife on him. I don't think he planned on doing that. You're not going to convince me that he planned that. So with that being said, how do you convict somebody and give him 35 years and make it seem like he planned on doing this when you have no evidence to prove that? They had all the evidence in the world to prove that Casey Allison wanted to underlie this kid's shit. Casey Allison sent text messages prior to the murder. Casey Allison sent text messages to different people that he know, saying that he wanted to put Jose on life support, saying that he wanted to hurt Jose bad. Then eventually one day he took a knife to school and did exactly that. The only difference is he didn't just hurt him bad, he unalived him. He poked him and stabbed him multiple times inside of the bathroom at a high school in Texas. So Casey Allison's situation, clearly that was premeditated in Casey's situation, right? But he's a white boy, so they say, nah, we're not going to charge him with first-degree murder. We're going to charge him with reckless homicide, give him 10 years, and he can come home in 5. All he got to do is 4 to 5 years, and he'll be home. White boy stabs somebody multiple times. White boy takes a knife to school. He gets 10 years. He'll be home in 5. So basically, Casey Allison gets 5 years for premeditated murder. Carmelo Anthony stabbed somebody once in the heat of the moment, in the heat of passion, spare the moment. He gets convicted and sentenced to 35 years because he's a black boy. Casey Allison is white. That's the difference.
Forward. If there's evidence out there that can exonerate Carmelo Anthony, we can't just talk about it. Where is it? We'd like to see it. Why didn't the prosecutors give it?
What do you mean? Why didn't the prosecutors get it? You know they don't want to give the real evidence. They want to convict them. They want to railroad them. Why would they tell us the truth? Why would they tell us the truth? If their goal is to convict Carmelo, why would they release evidence that could possibly exonerate him? Make it make sense.
Bring it forth. Where's TMZ? Right? We have all these people. Now we can talk about what kid could have, should have done, why they didn't whip their video out. I don't know. That's not before the jury. The only thing I want to focus on is what was brought before the jury. And if we stay focused on what—
we can't focus on what was brought before the jury, because if we focus on what was just brought before the jury, then we're ignoring the real evidence out there. So why would we focus on the lie when why would we focus on the lie when we know they're trying to bury the truth by hiding some of the facts? There's a video. Somebody got a video of what happened in that tent. They don't want to release that because if they did release that, that might exonerate Carmelo Anthony. So they're going to do everything in their power to not release that video. That's exactly how white supremacy works. You should know this, Dennis. Dennis, you should know this, man.
the jury had, we can come to the conclusion they had enough evidence to find this young man guilty of murder. That's not before MZ, right? We have all these people. Now we can talk about what kid could have, should have done, why they didn't whip their video out. I don't know. That's not before the jury. The only thing I want to focus on is what was brought before the jury. And if we stay focused on what the jury had, we can come to the conclusion they had enough evidence to find this young man guilty of murder beyond a reasonable doubt. That's where we are.
Okay, now I will agree to you if you say if we stay focused on what the jury was presented. But Dennis, you acting like these.
We're all speculating, right? Because none of us seen what happened inside of the tent. Now, we could speculate and say Carmelo was being jumped. I truly believe he was being jumped, but we don't have the proof, just like they don't have the proof. They don't have proof to say that it was premeditated. They don't have proof, but they still convicted him because it's a white criminal justice system. They run it. They're pulling the strings. So I said it before and I'll say it again. Listen, homies, we need a video that shows us what happened in that tent play by play. Until we get that video, we're all just speculating. They're showing us what happened outside of the tent. They're not showing us what happened inside of the tent. And I think we all know why.
People don't suppress evidence, and that you acting like they don't omit evidence. Like everything that we saw and everything we heard was the only truth that was out there. Like these people time and time again have lied, suppressed evidence, intimidated witnesses, how much prosecutorial misconduct is out there on a daily basis where these people act like they have complete autonomy over the legal system. They just do whatever the hell they want to do. Let's go back to what you said moments ago when you talked about Carmelo Anthony confessing that he put his hands on me. That could be a fraud. That could be a fraudulent slip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, we think about it. He's under a lot of pressure. He's under intense pressure right now. He's experiencing anxiety. He just stabbed somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times have you misspoken, in the heat of the moment, in that exact moment? How many times?
Willie D just made a good point. How many times we've all misspoken in the heat of the moment? I've done videos where I got amped up about something and like, man, I should have said that different. So just imagine all the cortisol and the anxiety that cortisol releases in your bloodstream, right? When you get stressed out, you get anxiety. And once you get stressed out and anxiety builds, it releases cortisol in your bloodstream. So when you're under that type of pressure, you're not going to speak the best, because when you're emotional and anxiety is high, you can't think. It's going to be hard to articulate. You can barely think. This is why it's best to be quiet when you're under that type of pressure. It's best to be quiet. Talk about it when you calm down. Talk about it when your mind is clear, but never talk about something when you're very emotional and you got anxiety and cortisol is released in your bloodstream. That's the worst time for you to be talking about anything.
Have you misspoken? So that don't. He's under a lot of pressure. He's under intense pressure right now. He's experiencing anxiety. He just stabbed somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times have you misspoken, in the heat of the moment, in that exact moment. How many times have you misspoken? So that don't mean that just I mean, two things can be true. He could have put his hands on him, but other people may have put their hands on him too. But he mentioned him because he stabbed him, not them.
All right, Willie. You I hear you, Willie.
Man, I'm just, my thing is this, Dennis. Look, man, Dennis, I'm just saying, man. I just know how people are, man. I know these people play dirty. And when we speak like we talking about the rules, like the rules don't get broken, like they don't move the goalposts, like they don't suppress evidence, like they don't lie, like they don't intimidate witnesses. You act like that stuff is off the table. It's not.
I'm not.
Times.
I'm not, Willie. I'm not. And they have something called a Brady disclosure where the prosecutors are obligated to give exonerating evidence that would exonerate a defendant. They're obligated to do it. If they don't do it, it's grounds for a new trial. Okay, but
well, they're willing to take that risk. I believe they're willing to take that risk. If all evidence ain't presented in trial, then that makes ground for new trial. Well, they're willing to take that risk. They're not going to go to jail for withholding evidence. They're going to take their chance to send him up the river because they know if they show what happened inside of that tent, play by play, that might exonerate Carmelo Anthony. You might see that they met him with a lot of aggression. The video might show that several people were confronting him and ready to put their hands on him. The video might show that several of people were coming at him being very aggressive. The video might show exactly that. Until we see what happened inside of that tent, play by play, then we're just speculating. Now, I truly believe that Carmelo whipped out that knife because he was scared. That's what I truly believe. I would bet all my money that Carmelo was sitting down and the white boys walked up. Hey, homie, get up out of here, boy. You ain't got no business sitting over here. Carmelo like, man, go on, get up out of my face, man. You can't tell me what to do. And Austin pushed him like, get out of here. And Carmelo like, oh, put your hands on me again. You're going to see. And Austin decides to push Carmelo again, being very aggressive. Carmelo whips out the blade and pokes him and runs off. I got enough common sense to know what happened because I've been in situations like this, gunplay, knife play, fists. I've been in a gang of situations similar to that. So I understand how these things play out. I'm not one of these internet gang goofy Gilligans that ain't never been in a physical confrontation. Trust me, I've been in a lot of violent encounters. So I understand how this plays out. It's kind of like when you was in school, right? But there's no weapons involved. And the bully pushes you, right? And you warn the bully that, hey, man, you put your hands on me again, man, it's going to be on and cracking. You're not saying that to instigate or start something. You're saying that to warn him, I don't want this guy in my personal space. I don't want him putting his hands on me. So that right there is a warning. That's not premeditated. Whoever said that is a damn dummy and they got a low IQ. Anytime you tell somebody, if you put your hands on me again, you're going to see what's going to happen. That individual is in defense. You only say that when you're in defense mode. You're trying to neutralize the threat that's in front of you. That's the only reason you say that. Hey, man, put your hands on me again. There's going to be problems. You're warning this person like, hey, man, I don't want to fight you, but I ain't no punk either. I don't want to fight, but I'm not no punk. If you put your hands on me again, I'm going to do something about it. That's not premeditated. That's a warning. You're in defense mode at that point. White people tried to flip it and spin it. That means that it was premeditated. He planned this. White people say anything to get their way. Then they want to talk about people. Then they want to talk about who got a low IQ. The thing is this. White people ain't dumb. They got enough common sense to know what happened, but it's their job to protect white people. It's their job to protect white people at all costs. It don't matter if they're right or wrong, family. White gonna stand up for white. It don't matter if they're wrong. You know how I know that's true? You know how I know that's how white people think? They sent $1 million to Shiloh Hendricks for calling a black child an N-word. That proves that white people gonna stand together regardless, right or wrong. That alone right there proves it. And I got many more examples.
Do they overlook and they never get punished, and people never get.
They do get punished, Willie. They get punished. But what I'm saying is, man, they have an obligation to do that. But in this particular situation,
white people gonna protect each other, right or wrong. So when I see these black symbols, I'm gonna stand up for what's right. If your black ass got, let me say this to Angry Man, Tampon Daniels, Jason Whitlock, Jesse Lee Peterson. If any one of them symbols got into it with a white person and they defended themselves, those white people gonna stand up for white people, regardless if that white person was wrong or not. White gonna stand up for white. So when I see these black symbols, I'm gonna stand up for what's right. I'm gonna speak on what's. You think white people gonna be fair with your black ass? If you got into it with a white person today and you had to shoot them, those same white people that support you gonna turn on you in defense of the white person that you harmed. White people gonna stand up for white regardless. They don't give a damn if that white person was wrong.
You're telling me that Carmelo Anthony's statement that he put his hands on me, we shouldn't believe it?
No, I didn't say we shouldn't believe it. I say two things can be true. He could have said he put his hands on me, and
it's funny when black people call themselves, I'm just gonna stick up for what's, I'm gonna stick up for what's right and be fair. You think America gonna be fair with your black ass? How you gonna be fair with a group of people that's never been fair with you? Man, you Negroes are stupid. You the reason why we're losing. How you gonna be fair with a group of people that's never been fair with you? That's like you trying to be faithful to a chick that's sleeping around with different ninjas and different men. But you're gonna be faithful with a pass around who sleeps around. That's a stupid mindset to have. I'm gonna be fair with a group of people that's never been fair with me or my people. How stupid you gotta be.
Indeed, he did put his hands on him, but also he could have admitted other things that happened in that moment, in the heat of the moment, while he's being arrested. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he also said that. I mean, he also said that. He said that I'm not. He said this is the alleged perpetrator. He said no, it's not alleged. I did it. Are we not supposed to believe that either?
Yeah.
And if you really think about it, they're not even being fair with white people. They're just going along with the BS. Because if we was really talking about what's fair, let me show you how these black conservatives are not being fair, but they claim to be fair. They're just full of crap. If these black conservatives was really fair, you didn't see none of these black conservatives making videos about that white supremacist that shot up that black family reunion. That's how you know Tampon Daniels is a coward. That's how you know the angry woman is a coward. That's how you know Jason Whitlock is a coward. That's how you know Officer Tatum. That's how you know Officer Tatum is a coward. These are black men, but they won't make videos about white people who harm black folks. They're cowards, 100%, but they're doing this for the money. Their motivation, everybody's motivation is money, but the thing is, what are you willing to do for the money? We all like money, but there's certain things that I'm not willing to do. There's certain things that I'm just not willing to do. I love money, but I don't love money that bad. I'm not going to throw my people under the bus to get money from white people. That's what Sambos do. You know damn well this country was never fair to black people, but you want to be fair with a group of people? Let me tell you something. If it was all about accountability and being fair, none of these black conservatives would be Sambos, because they would hold they would hold white people accountable to the same level that they hold blacks. If it was really about accountability, it's not about accountability. It's about throwing the black community under the bus for white validation and white dollars. Dead hypocrites. That's what it's all about. Like Simple would say, green papers with dead hypocrites. That's all it's about. These Sambos don't give a damn about no integrity. All they give a damn about is money. They will throw black people under the bus to get the white man's validation and money. You see it all the time.
We believe that.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on now, Willie D. Hold on, Willie D. Willie D, hold on. So we can accept the fact that when he admitted that he did it, that's true. But when we can't accept the fact that when he said he put his hands on me, that limits it to one person and not multiple people. Is that what you're telling us, Willie D?
Yeah, I'm saying that two things can be true. That the fact that he did admit that dude put his hands on him, and suggesting that is the reason why he stuck him. But at the same time, he could have omitted that the fact that everything else that was happening around him and other people attacked.
Let's get some more people to support the show. Shout out to Leticia. for the 10. I appreciate you, sweetie. Shout out to Leticia for the 10. Shout out to Tiffany for the 20. I appreciate you, Tiffany, for the 20. Shout out to Back in Action for blessing us with a 5, man. So far, we only got 3 supporters. We need more people to support this channel, man. We cooking. We cooking with fish grease, dirty fish grease at that. I cook ninjas and white tea people when I cook ninjas and white tea folks in dirty fish grease. That's the only way you need to barbecue, and that's the only way you need to cook them. Fry they ass in dirty fish grease. You got it from King Supreme.
Tim.
Willie, hold on. So we can accept the fact that when he admitted that he did it, that's true. But we can't accept the fact that when he said he put his hands on me, that limits it to one person and not multiple people. Is that what you're telling us, Willie D?
Yeah, I'm saying that 2 things can be true. That the fact that he did admit that dude put his hands on him, and suggesting that is the reason why he stuck him. But at the same time, he could have omitted that the fact that everything else that was happening around him and other people attacked him, because the fact that he stuck him is the most important, is the reason why he's arrested. Not because of he was defending himself against fighting off other people or whatever.
You have a valid point. You're basically what you're saying, Willie, is that, hey, he might have just omitted to tell you that he was so hyper focused on the individual in front of him that he didn't bring up the fact that there were other people around him creating an environment of fear because he felt like there was an imminent attack from multiple people. I get what you're saying. Exactly. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But the jury, not only did they see the video, and it didn't look like it was a bunch of people standing over and packing them out, okay? In addition to that, they heard multiple witnesses, and none of them testified. It was a bunch of people standing around him packing them out. I know you said the jury, they fearing for their life, and they don't want, I get what you're saying, Willie. But if you take all that evidence together, okay, if you take it all together and you weigh it out, the trier of fact, the jury determined that there was no grounds for this young man to use deadly force. And that's why he got a murder conviction. All I'm trying to do is show you all
about the law and how the law works, right? Check this out.
I see some children, some young high school kids walking in the direction of that memorial tent, which is in black and gold. I don't see anybody charging, Willie D. I'm just saying I see everybody walking about the same pace. Only people that think Carmelo wasn't going to prison
as someone who has presented. But Dennis, you acting like these people don't suppress evidence and that you acting like they don't omit evidence, like everything that we saw and everything we heard.
If there's evidence out there that can exonerate Carmelo Anthony, we can't just talk about it. Where is it? We'd like to see it. Why didn't the prosecutors bring it forth? Where's TMZ? Right? We have all these people. Now we can talk about what kid could have, should have done, why they didn't whip their video out. I don't know. That's not before the jury. The only thing I want to focus on is what was brought before the jury. And if we stay focused on what the jury had, we can come to the conclusion they had enough evidence to find this young man guilty of murder beyond a reasonable doubt. That's where we are.
Okay, now I will agree to you if we stay focused on what the jury was presented. But Dennis, you acting like these people don't suppress evidence and that you acting like they don't omit evidence, like everything that we saw and everything we heard was the only truth that was out there. Like these people time and time again have lied, suppressed evidence, intimidated witnesses.
Right, like come on, Dennis, like you acting like these people don't lie and withhold evidence and do things to exonerate their own people or to give them a lesser sentence. Come on, Dennis. You know damn well white people have set things up to work in their favor. The case analysis situation is a prime example of that. They did everything in their power to protect that white boy. Never mind the fact that Kaysen took a knife to school and stabbed a student multiple times inside of the bathroom. Never mind all of that. Never mind the fact that it was premeditated. He told people he wanted to hurt Jose. Yet and still, the system, the criminal justice system, protected. They gave Casey Allison levels of protection so that he wouldn't serve prison, so that he wouldn't get convicted on a first-degree murder charge and get sent off to prison. They made sure that they protected that white boy. They made sure that he was going to do way less than 10 years. He'll come home in 5. White supremacy gave Casey Allison to protect. They gave him the protection because they gave him protection for his complexion. He's white. So come on, Dennis, stop pretending like we don't know that white people have suppressed evidence to protect their own people or suppress evidence to convict a black person. White people got a long history of doing that in this country. There's no way that you don't know that as a lawyer. You listen, homie, you ain't even got to be a lawyer to know that. If you study history, you know this to be a fact. They suppress evidence to protect white people, but then they'll suppress evidence to get a black person convicted. What do you mean they suppress evidence to get a black person convicted? What they'll do is they won't bring in certain witnesses that's going to speak in a black person's favor. They'll bring in witnesses who are going to tell lies to convict this black person. How come the black man that seen the video didn't come up there and speak? How come they didn't use his testimony? So we all know that white people hide evidence when they want to convict the black person. Or they'll intimidate witnesses. They'll intimidate the so-called N-word lovers in their own community. If you go up there and say something in that Negro's favor, we're going to do something. So we're going to do something bad to you, buddy. The N-word lovers were met with extreme violence in the white community. You better not say anything of that black man's favor. We're going to outcast you. We're going to come to get you. So the N-word lovers, listen, the N-word lovers were targets. This is why the N-word lovers kept their mouth shut, because they didn't want that smoke from the white community. Even if they felt like what white people was doing wrong, even if they felt like white people were wrong, they kept their mouth shut to protect their family. They kept their mouth shut to protect their family. That's why you had a lot of white people who knew it was wrong, but they realized that speaking up for black people might put their family in danger. So do I want to speak up for black people and put my life in? Do I want to speak up for black people and put my family in danger, or do I just keep my mouth shut and go on about my business? Most white people chose to go on about their life and live their business. They're not going to put their family in harm's way to speak up for black people. Absolutely not.
How much prosecutorial misconduct is out there on a daily basis where these people act like they have complete autonomy over the legal system? They just do whatever the hell they want to do. Let's go back to what you said moments ago when you talked about Carmelo Anthony confessing that he put his hands on me. That could be a fraud. That could be a fraudulent slip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, think about it. He's under a lot of pressure. He's under intense pressure right now. He's experiencing anxiety. He just stabbed somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times have you misspoken, you know, in the heat of the moment, in that exact moment? How many times have you misspoken? So that don't mean that just I mean, two things can be.
We all know all cases ain't the same. Just like we know white people and black folks ain't treated the same. Casey Allison and Carmelo Anthony is a prime example of how we're not treated the same based on skin color. That's a prime example. If you deny that, then you're just too dumb for the conversation. That's an obvious fact right there. The criminal justice system was not set up to be fair with black people. Casey Allison and Carmelo Anthony is a prime example of how black men serve more prison time for the same crime that white men commit. And if you look at Casey Allison, what he did was way worse, because Casey Allison stabbed Jose multiple times. Continued to stab him when he was on the ground. Carmelo Anthony stabbed once and ran, and they still gave him 35 years. They gave a white boy 10 years. If that example right there don't prove how full of shit white people are, then you just don't want to see the truth. You're full of crap yourself.
He could have put his hands on him, but other people may have put their hands on him too. But he mentioned him because he stabbed him, not them.
Shout out to the homegirl Stephanie for the 30. Shout out to Stephanie, man. I appreciate you, baby. Where's Steffi at? I appreciate you, baby. You know? Steffi Weffy, where you at, baby? I appreciate you for the Father's Day gift coming on through with the 30. Shout out to the ladies for supporting your boy. You know, you got brothers up here who say you doing this for women. A lot of these brothers, I got to be real with y'all, man. I got black women that support my platform more than a lot of you black men. A lot of you black men run from channel to channel and you channel hop. And a lot of you guys got a problem with the way that I run my content, but you guys are not even supporting my platform. Most of my Father's Day support came from women, black women, not just women, black women. 85 to 90% of my Father's Day support is coming from black women. You got men. I don't want to listen. I'm not even going to get into that, but I had to say that. Let's get back into the content though.
All right, Willie. you I hear you, Willie.
Man, look, I'm just, my thing is this, Dennis. Look, man.
See, a lot of times when you start working in a court of law, you got to do what you got to do to stay paid. You can't call out white supremacy because they won't get clients. Certain white people won't deal with them. So white people, this is what white people do. They cut off that money faucet to keep Negroes in line. Why you think Tampon won't say nothing about racist white supremacists? Because he don't want white people to cut off that water faucet. He don't want white people to take them out of the algorithm. This is why he won't say nothing about Chud the Builder. This is why he won't make videos about, you know, the white supremacists in Georgia who shot up the family reunion. But every time there's a black shooting or anytime there's black people doing something ignorant, Tampon and the angry woman gonna make several videos because they're cowards. They can't make the money that they make holding white people accountable, so they won't do it. Which further proves that these guys are cowards. They're cowards. They'll hold black people accountable all day, but they give a blind eye to white supremacy. The angry woman, Tampon Daniels, Officer Tatum. They can't afford to hold white people accountable. They're going to lose money if they hold white people accountable, but they're cowards. So we can't expect them to hold white people accountable, but they're going to talk about black folks all damn day.
I'm just saying that. I just know how these people are, man. I know these people play dirty. And when we speak like we talking about the rules, like the rules don't get broken, like they don't move the goalposts, like they don't suppress evidence, like they don't lie, like they don't intimidate witnesses. You act like that stuff is off the table. It's not.
I'm not.
Times.
I'm not, Willie. I'm not. And they have something called.
See, the problem is this, black people. Black people gonna sell you out for money. Not all of us, right? But you got a large percentage of black people who will sell their people out for money. Angry man don't talk about white people because he's a coward. He knows he'll lose money and subscribers. Tampon Daniels, well, the angry woman, that's his name. The angry woman won't talk about white people because he knows it'll hurt, his money. Tampon said it himself. I can't make no money talking about Chud the Builder. If I talk about Chud the Builder, white people gonna get pissed off with me. So he knows not to talk about white supremacy or Chud the Builder. Tampon is a coward. But this is the crazy part about it. The fact that Tampon Daniels and the angry woman still has a black following is ridiculous and crazy. It shows me how lost black people are. The angry woman celebrates St. Patrick's Day, but he said that Juneteenth is a stupid holiday. Black people celebrating freedom is a stupid holiday to the angry woman, although he celebrates St. Patrick's Day, looking like a whole leprechaun celebrating St. Patrick's Day, but he got a problem with Juneteenth. The fact that you still have black people that support that clown shows you the sickness in our community. 100%.
Disclosure where the prosecutors are obligated to give exonerating evidence that would exonerate a defendant. They're obligated to do it.
Angry man don't talk about everyone. Shut your dumb ass up. Show me the videos that Angry Man made about Casey Allison, the white boy who stabbed somebody in Texas and took a knife to school. Show me the videos of that. You can't find them. Show me the videos that Angry Man made about Chud the Builder that said, hey, man, Chud the Builder is a product of white supremacy and black people need to be on the lookout for that. Angry Woman ain't made no videos about that. Angry Woman ain't made no videos about that white supremacist who shot up a black family reunion in Georgia. Listen, if a black man would have shot up a white family reunion, the Angry Woman and Tampon would have made several videos. If Chud the Builder was a black man running around doing that to white people, the Angry Woman and Tampon Daniels would have made several videos demonizing and criticizing the black community. And you know I'm telling the truth. The Angry Woman is a coward, and so is Tampon Daniels. So is Officer Tatum. Straight cowards.
Don't do it is grounds for a new trial. Okay, but
do they overlook that and they never get punished, and people never get.
They do get punished, Willie. They get punished. But what I'm saying is, man, they have an obligation to do that. But in this particular situation, you're telling me that Carmelo Anthony's statement that he put his hands on me, we shouldn't believe it.
No, I didn't say we shouldn't believe it. I said two things can be true. He could have said he put his hands on me, and yes, indeed, he did put his hands on him. But also, he could have admitted other things that happened in that moment, in the heat of the moment, while he's being arrested. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he also.
But you also have to look at it like this: the black people who support them are also sellouts, right? If you're gonna call a sellout, you also have to call the black people out who support them. They're sellouts as well. Because why would you support a sellout in a Sambo as a black person? So we got to hold those people accountable too. We got to hold them accountable too. If you support a black man that celebrates St. Patrick's Day, but fix his mouth to say that Juneteenth is a stupid holiday and is goofy, then there's something wrong with you. We got to listen. We got to start calling out their supporters. That's the only way you're going to get rid of this Sambo. This is the only way you're going to get rid of this Sambo behavior. You got to start calling out the damn supporters. Angry Woman, Tampon Daniels won't make no videos calling out white supremacy, but they want to talk about ignorance in the black community every single day. Those dudes are cowards, and so are the people who support that message. If you support what they're doing, you a coward as well. You a sellout too. Because one thing I know about white people, they're not going to throw their people under the bus for the benefit of a black person. But these Sambos will throw black people under the bus for the benefit of white people. That's the difference.
He also said that he said that I'm not, he said this is the alleged perpetrator. He said, no, it's not.
If you're willing to support a black man that celebrates St. Patrick's Day, but he calls Juneteenth a stupid holiday, then something is wrong with you too. Like I said, we got to start calling out their supporters. If you're willing to support that as a black person, something is wrong with you. You're part of the problem. In a major way, you're part of the problem.
Not alleged. I did it. Are we not supposed to believe that either?
Yeah, we believe that. Yeah.
Okay, so hold on now, Willie D. Hold on, Willie D. Willie D, hold on. So we can accept the fact that when he admitted that he did it, that's true. But we can't accept the fact that when he said he put his hands on me, that limits it to one person and not multiple people.
I don't deal with Judge Joe Brown. I need everybody that's rocking. I need everybody that's watching. Make sure that you bless the like button. I don't rock with Judge Joe Brown. I don't.
What you telling us, Willie D?
Yeah, I'm saying that two things can be true. That the fact that he did admit that dude put his hands on him, and suggesting that is the reason why he stuck him. But at the same time, he could have omitted that the fact that everything else that was happening around him and other people attacked him, because the fact that he stuck him is the most important, is the reason why he's arrested. Not because of he was defending himself against fighting off other people or whatever.
You have a valid point. You're basically what you're saying, Willie, is that, hey, he might have just omitted to tell you that he was so hyper focused on the individual in front of him that he didn't bring up the fact that there were other people around him creating an environment of fear because he felt like there was an imminent attack from multiple people. I get what you're saying. Exactly. I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
We know that white people are going to defend white people regardless. The majority of white folks are going to defend white folks. We know this. So it's just the reality of it, man. That's that this country was built on that. That mindset built this country. White people gonna white people gonna stand up for each other, right or wrong. So when I see these Sambos saying, I'm just gonna be real, I'm gonna call black, do you think white supremacists are gonna call out their own people? They're not. You got a small percentage of white people who are not like that, but the majority of them are like that. Let's be real. The majority of white people support white supremacy. You only have a small percentage of them that's going to call that out. The overwhelming majority going to roll with it because they benefit from it. Let's be real. So when I see these black Sambos trying to be fair with a group of people that's never been fair with them, it's crazy. Well, I'm gonna call out black people to let white people know that I'm not the same like the rest of these Negroes. I'm gonna call out black people, and they do that to impress white folks. That's why they do it. They want white people to know that they're different. I'm a different type of Negro. Don't throw me in the same category as them. What does Angry Man do? He goes out of his way to prove that he's different than most Negroes. What does Tampon Daniels do? Makes videos disparaging black people to prove that he's different from most Negroes. What does Officer Tatum do? Officer Tatum does the same thing. He goes out of his way to prove that he's different than the rest of Negroes and hopes to get a doggy biscuit from white supremacists and white people.
But the jury, not only did they see the video, and it didn't look like it was a bunch of people standing over and packing them out, okay? In addition to that, they heard multiple witnesses, and none of them testified. It was a bunch of people standing around him packing them out. I know you said the jury, they fearing for their life, and they don't want, I get what you're saying, Willie. But if you take all that evidence together, okay, if you take it all together and you weigh it out, the trier of fact, the jury determined that there was no grounds for this young man to use deadly force. And that's why he got a murder conviction. All I'm trying to do is show you all, show the public how most lawyers, most people who've been involved in the criminal justice system figured out well ahead of time that this young man was going to prison. The only question was whether or not he was going to go to prison for murder or manslaughter.
No, that's true. We knew he was going, well, I knew he was going to prison. One thing I knew is that he was going to prison. The thing was for how long? For how long? There's no way white people was going to let him walk on a self-defense. On a claim, there's no way they was going to let him walk on a claim of self-defense. They wasn't going to let that happen. You know, the best thing Carmelo could have did was said, you know, or anything is possible. Maybe he get an appeal and they show what happened in the tent, and it reveals what really happened, and it shows that he was met with a lot of hostility and aggression from multiple people. Maybe the evidence shows that, but like I said, in order for us to know that to be the fact, the irrefutable facts, we would need to see the video of what happened inside of that tent. We need a video to show us what happened inside of that tent, play by play. That's what we need to see. They're not showing us what happened inside of the tent. They're showing us what happened outside of the tent.
Let me give you some, we'll just say, I guess, for the people, legal game. Let's listen. I want you to hear this strategy for me. All right. So it's been the reason we don't know what happened is because we haven't heard Carmelo Anthony speak. He didn't come up on the stand and testify. We shouldn't hold that against him. Defendants who are accused don't have to testify. But Carmelo Anthony was 17 when this incident happened. He's 19 now. Willie D, a fully grown, mature man, is going to be able to testify different than a young 17 or 19-year-old boy on the stand. Same thing with Dennis Sperling and any other mature adult. We're going to say it. We're not going to feel overly stressed out. It is what it is, okay? This 19-year-old boy, had he testified now, his testimony would be locked in to the public record forever. So let's say he gets an appeal. And I think he will be granted an appeal because appeals are mandatory in the state of Texas. The state of Texas Court of Criminal Appeals is an intermediate court, so it's mandatory. So he's going to be granted an appeal. They're going to look at everything, and I think there's a. That's
why I keep saying they need to show us what happened inside of the tent. There's a reason that they're not showing us. They're not showing us that footage for good reason. They're showing everything that happened outside of this. They're showing everything that happened outside of the tent, but they're not showing us what happened inside of the tent. And I think we know why. If they showed us the video from inside of the tent, then you're gonna get a different story. I truly believe that Carmelo Anthony was met with a lot of aggression from more than one person, not just Austin. Austin was the only one that got stabbed, but I'm pretty sure that Austin was the leader. This is my theory on the situation, and I believe it to be true. I believe that Austin Metcalf was leading the pack. Austin was leading the pack. When Austin decided to confront Carmelo, he had his brother and his homies with him. So I truly believe that they all confronted Carmelo at the same time. Austin just happened to be the leader of the pack. So Austin was the one that got stabbed because Austin was the most aggressive one, because he was the main one in Carmelo's face, barking and telling him what to do, telling him where he can and cannot sit. I truly believe that's what happened. Make sure that you guys bless that damn like button, man. Get my likes up. Share the content. Happy Father's Day to all the damn fathers. Shout out to all the black women who've been supporting the platform.
There's a more than 50% chance that this particular verdict is going to be overturned because they excluded all of the black jurors. Now we can go into that another time, but if people want to look up Batson, I think that's a good reason. So now, as I said earlier, and I want you to understand the mind.
I mean, think about it. They're showing us everything that happened outside of the tent, but nothing that happened inside of the tent. Come on, y'all. We got enough common sense to see there's foul play in that.
Mindset of a criminal defense attorney. We understand that this young man was going to prison. Any lawyer worth his salt is going to say you got a confession, a dead body, and a murder with dozens of witnesses. He's going to go to prison. The question, if he had been able to go to prison with manslaughter, that would have been a win. And I know that's hard for the public to understand. People think this is going to be a Perry Mason moment. Defendant, you're free to go. That was not going to happen in this case. I don't think it would have happened in this case if it was an all-black jury, a black judge, black prosecutor, black victim, and a black defendant. You're going to go to prison. The question is, are you going to go to prison for 7 years, 7 to 10 years, or are you going to go to prison from 5 to 99 years? He got the 5 to 99 years, of which they gave him 35 years. So now let's look at the strategy here. If we know he's going to go to prison, if we know there's more likely than not he's going to get a retrial, then why not preserve the idea of have him testifying until he gets a little bit older, until he can sit in that cage? And I know it's bad. It's going to be bad. It's not going to be all good, but it's not going to be all bad. He's going to mature. He's going to grow. Hopefully he programs correctly. His mind will mature. 7 years from now, when it's time for a new trial, okay, he doesn't have that 19-year-old testimony saying, well, you said this then, you said this then. What's changed? You've had a chance to sit in that penitentiary with them hardened criminals and work out your life. That's what the prosecutor's going to say. We knew he was going to do at least 7 to 10 years. We knew that. Anybody in the criminal justice system knew, based on the evidence, not even having anything to do with the case, knew he was going to prison. But now, because he didn't testify, he preserved that testimony. Now he can say, well, if we go ahead and go forth with this again, maybe now I'll testify and explain why this was self-defense and not murder, why I was afraid for my life, why I felt the need, there was other people all around. Maybe then it'll be better. That's the best shot he had. We knew he was going to prison. And I think that's very difficult for the public to understand. You know, that's the strategy I think they're going to use, man. And that's a win. The goal was to get him manslaughter. If he and the reason that's the goal, because that's only 7 years. You got a young man dead, and you only go, you can get out and still live your life. You'll still be in his 20s. I mean, bro, people go to prison forever for that. If they can get manslaughter for this, that's a win. But sometimes you got to go a roundabout way to get it. He does 7 years, time served, manslaughter, he can get out, or probation, or whatever they come up with. And that's the best case scenario. But the defense attorney already knew what was going to happen. I'm sure
of course he knew what it was going. Of course he knew it was going to happen. He did a wink, wink, shake, shake man, I got you, baby. We're gonna make this happen. They did one of them. It's one of them. Like, what's that little sign that they do?
Yeah, man. So what's that sign that they do? Bless the like button. I need everybody that's rocking to bless that like button. Shout out to Lauren. Lauren blessed us with a 20. She said, Happy Father's Day, man. Shout out to Lauren. I appreciate you, sweetie. Let's get back to the content.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Look here. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What do you think the strongest part of the prosecution's case was, and what was the most vulnerable part?
They got a dead body, Willie D. They got a dead body, a confession, and a murder weapon, and dozens of witnesses. That's the strongest case. This is not a case built on circumstantial evidence where we can't find the body. We don't know. We don't have a confession from the defendant. He lawyered up before we even put him in handcuffs. He was talking about, I want to talk to my lawyer. There's no witnesses. There's no body. There's no physical evidence. This is not that case. This is a cakewalk for the prosecution. The only question was whether or not he was going to get a manslaughter or a murder conviction. That's it. That's the only question. He was going to go to prison. And see, here's the thing. When I hear that little boy crying, he touched me for, I hear a baby. I'm compassionate to Carmelo Anthony. I have sons that age, man. He's a child. But see, on the flip side, Austin Metcalf is a child. These are children that we taught. These are kids whose minds haven't even fully developed, and we have a dead child. We cannot have a society where we allow children to kill each other because of a push. So somebody's, especially here, Willie D, you know where we are. What we talking about, Texas, we put more people to death for capital murder than anywhere else in the world, right here in the great state of Texas. This is what we do here. So you absolutely know that if you do something like that, you go to prison. And if it's a white boy in a white county and you black, you don't stand Ice Cube's chance in hell of walking out of there free and clear. It's not going to happen. We know that. And hopefully we begin to tell our children, especially our black boys, you got to control your emotions. You can't do, it ain't like when we was young and you could box with somebody and handle in the street and then shake hands afterwards and be friends. These kids are not like us. They're different. They're emotional. They walking around strapped. And this could have went one way or the other. He could have pulled a knife and somebody else could have pulled a pistol if it was out in these streets. So we have.
Yeah, I mean, somebody could have pulled a pistol. Somebody could have pulled a knife. Get the likes up of the content. It's dope. You know, we off the chain. Matter of fact, we off the rope. We ain't on the plantation no more, man. We off the rope.
Have to teach our children to control their emotion, because guess what happened when they get in front of the judge? We see what happens. And that's
what I thought. I said, see, I don't claim to know everything. I don't claim to be the smartest person in the room, because a lot of you guys know things that I don't know, and vice versa. That's the importance of us bringing all our information to the table. I got the peanut butter, you got the bread, you got the jelly. Let's bring it all together. Nobody has all the answers. But when we come together, we do have the answers. I got something that you don't have. You got something that I don't have. The other brother going to bring something that neither one of us have, and we're going to put it all together. We're going to put it all together to make us better. Whatever happened to that mentality?
You see, Carmelo, he was a good kid, though, and I feel sorry for him.
Now, Dennis, you're absolutely right. We do need to control our emotions, but that goes both ways. And I don't want that to fall deaf on the ears of those people who are out there supporting in support of Austin, because they believe that Austin didn't do anything wrong. That's
right. White people don't believe that Austin did anything wrong. But see, that goes back to what I've been saying. White people gonna support white regardless if they're wrong. So when I see these black Sambos thinking that I'm gonna be fair with white people. How do you be fair with white people? Well, I'm gonna call black people out. I'm black, but I'm still going to call black people out. You want to be fair with a group of people that's never been fair with you. That's the equivalent of you trying to be faithful and monogamous with a woman who's sleeping with multiple men, but you're going to still give her monogamy, even though she's sleeping with different men. No loyalty for you. So these Sambos and these black conservatives want to be fair with a group of people who happen to be white that's never been fair with them. That's how goofy these black conservatives are. I'm going to be fair with white people when they've never been fair with your black ass, and they don't plan on being fair with you. White supremacy keeps them on top. Why would they be fair with you when they don't have to? Why would they be fair if they don't have to? They benefit from white supremacy. And my thing is this, I'm not crying about it. I just understand what it is. Why would white people make things fair and equal or even with black people when white supremacy gives them a major advantage? Case analysis proves that white people got a major advantage. Case analysis in the state of Texas took a knife to school, stabs a kid multiple times. He gets convicted of reckless homicide and sentenced to 10 years. He'll be home in 5. No, never mind the fact that it was premeditated, and he told everybody that he wanted to hurt that Mexican kid bad. Told everybody he wanted to hurt him bad. Took a knife to school and followed through with the plans. The only difference is he unalived him. He didn't just hurt him bad. He stabbed him multiple times. None of these white people campaigned for case analysis to go to prison on a first-degree murder charge, even though it was premeditated and we have the evidence to prove it. Carmelo Anthony stabbed somebody once, and Carmelo stabbed somebody once, and it's clear to see that it wasn't premeditated. Guess what? Carmelo gets convicted of damn near first-degree murder. If you commit a crime at 17 years old and you get 35 years and they're trying to prove that you planned it, they're trying to lynch you, they're trying to hang you. That's the difference between being black and white in this country.
People out there that all they talk about is Carmelo, but they ain't got no heat at all for what Austin did, putting himself in that position. You know, so it goes both ways, being in control of your emotions. Like
absolutely,
if Austin had controlled his emotions, we wouldn't be here. If and he's starting it, we wouldn't have been here. But if Carmelo would have been able to control his emotions, we wouldn't be in this situation.
And let's back it up a little bit. I got one for you. I got a better one for you. Had Austin Metcalf pushed Carmelo Anthony, and then he said okay and reported him to the police, Carmelo Anthony would Austin Metcalf would be in handcuffs because that's assault.
Hell, not
assault. It's bad. No, sir. No.
Let me tell you, the majority of these black conservatives are cowards, and I want to go back to the point that Dennis Spurling is trying to make. But black conservatives are cowards. They're trying to be fair with a group of people that's never been fair with them. That's what black conservatives are doing. Well, I'm black, but I'm still going to call all white folks. You think white people call out white supremacy in this country? No, they don't. They pretend like it doesn't exist while benefiting from it at the same time. That's how dumb you black conservatives are. How you going to be fair with a group of people that ain't never been fair with you? They don't give a damn about your black ass. If any one of these black conservatives had to defend themselves from a white supremacist, those same white people going to defend that white person. They're not going to take your side and go against the white person. They're going to say you guilty. They don't give a damn they don't give a damn about how many videos you made critiquing the black community, agreeing with white people. At the end of the day, if you do something to a white person, they're not going to side with you. You're still black at the end of the day. So they're going to hold you accountable just like they do every other black person and say, nah, he's guilty. He had no business harming a white person, even if you was 100% correct in defending yourself. Those white people still going to take the side of a white person. I don't give a damn how much you tap dance. I don't give a damn about how many videos you make speaking in white people's favor, calling out black ignorance, but you won't call out white supremacy. Those white people will still defend their people over your black ass. That is why I say black conservatives are cowards. They're spineless, weak cowards. Angry Woman is a coward. Tampon is a coward. Officer Tatum is a coward. Ringo TV, certified coward. Ringo TV was on his knees over there slurping the DNA of Charlie Kirk. That's how much of a sucker Ringo is. I'm not even gonna make no videos. This fool got 200,000 subscribers and he get the same views that I get. And I'm over here on a brand new channel with 12K subscribers and I can get the same numbers that Ringo get. Ringo was a coward, man. Straight pathetic.
We see what happens. And that's what you see Carmelo. He was a good kid, though. And I feel sorry for him.
Now, Dennis, you're absolutely right. We do need to control our emotions, but that goes both ways. And I don't want that to fall deaf on the ears of those people who are out there supporting in support of Austin, because they believe that Austin didn't do anything wrong. There's people out there that all they talk about is Carmelo, but they ain't got no heat at all for what Austin did, putting himself in that position. You know, so it goes both ways, being in control of your emotions. Like
absolutely,
if Austin had controlled his emotions, we wouldn't be here. If and he's starting it, if we wouldn't, for starters, we wouldn't have been here. But if Carmelo would have been able to control his emotions, we wouldn't be in this situation.
And let's back it up a little bit. I got one for you. I got a better one for you. Had Austin Metcalf pushed Carmelo Anthony, and then he said okay and reported him to the police, Carmelo Anthony would Austin Metcalf would be in handcuffs because that's assault.
Hell, not
assault. It's bad. No, sir. No. He put hand if Austin Metcalf pushed Carmelo Anthony and Carmelo Anthony didn't respond, that's battery. You going to prison.
That is, but that's
how you get rid of that problem. That teaches the bully that way you don't have to get your hands dirty, you don't have to respond, and he goes to prison. See, that's what look, man.
Not in Collin County. He wouldn't have went to prison.
That's when your politicians come into play. That's when your legislators, that's when you push the issue. He pushed me. I want him to go to prison. You got to go full Karen on these people. That use that system against them. That way you don't have to get your hands dirty. All he had to do was call the cops on him, and or there should have been a resource. 20 of them.
When you try to be fair, listen. When you as a black person try to be fair with white people, you're dumb, because white people ain't gonna never be fair with you. You might have a small minority of white people who might say they're gonna be fair, but the overwhelming majority of white people are not gonna be fair with Negroes. It don't benefit them to be fair with you. It don't. They benefit more from white supremacy. They don't benefit by being fair with your black ass. When you try to be fair with white people as a black person, that's the equivalent of you trying to be loyal to a woman who's sleeping around with different men. That's how stupid you look. You're trying to be loyal to people or a person that will never be loyal to you. So that's the equivalent. You might as well get in a relationship and try to be faithful to a 304 that gets paid to sleep with other men, that still entertains other men. That's how stupid you look when you try to be fair with white people and they've never been fair with you. This country was not built on, listen, this country wasn't designed to be fair with your black ass. So you're stupid for even trying to be fair with white people. I'm not saying you got to mistreat them or be equal. I'm not saying you got to mistreat them or be evil to them, but you a damn fool if you're trying to be fair with a group of people that ain't never been fair with your black ass. You look dumb. You're trying to be faithful with a woman who sleeps around with different men. That's the equivalent. It shows you how dumb. But listen, this is what they're going, well, I'm making money. So obviously, see, what they're going to say is, well, we're not being too dumb. We're making a lot of money. So what that say is they're willing to sell out for the money. See, people use money to justify what's wrong. People use money as an excuse to justify their wrongdoing. Well, I'm a Sambo, but I'm making money. I'm getting paid. So cash rules everything in the minds of most black people. They'll sell out. They'll try their best to be loyal to a group of people that's never been loyal to them. As long as they can make money doing it, they don't give a damn if it makes sense or not. The only thing that makes sense to them is the money. If they got to tap dance for the white community and say things in the favor of white people while throwing their own people under the bus, as long as they can make money doing it, they don't give a damn. That's the only thing that matters to them at the end of the day, the money that they're getting. Well, I don't give a damn about throwing black folks under the bus. As long as white folks continue to pay me, I don't give a damn about throwing these Negroes under the bus. As long as I'm making money, that's the only thing that matters. And unfortunately, that's the mentality of a Sambo and a raccoon. As long as they're making money, they don't give a damn about throwing your black ass or your community under the bus. They do it for money and validation from the white community.
People that testified against Carmelo Anthony, you would have forced them to testify against Austin Metcalf. And it's my understanding, I don't want to speak disparagingly of the dead, okay, but the young man apparently, I don't want to speak poorly of people, but it's my understanding that the young man had some incidents in school before. I'm talking about the Austin Metcalf, the brothers. Apparently they were known.
As long as these Sambos can make money and get subscribers on YouTube, they don't give a damn about throwing your black ass under the bus to get money and validation from the white community. Shout out to Daniel Valencia for blessing us with a 10. I appreciate you, Daniel, for the 10 on the Cash App. You dig.
On the campus and Carmelo Anthony didn't respond. That's battery. You going to prison.
That is, but that's
how you get rid of that problem. That teaches a bully. That way you don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to respond, and he goes to prison. See, that's what. Look, man.
Not in Collin County. He wouldn't have went to prison.
That's when your politicians come into play. That's when your legislators. That's when you push the issue. He pushed me. I want him to go to prison. You got to go full Karen on these people. Use that system against them. That way you don't have to get your hands dirty. All he had to do was call the cops on them, or there should have been a resource. 20 of them same people that testified against Carmelo Anthony, you would have forced them to testify against Austin Metcalf. And it's my understanding, I don't want to speak disparagingly of the dead, okay, but the young man apparently, I don't want to speak poorly of people, but it's my understanding that the young man had some incidents in school before. I'm talking about the Austin Metcalf, the brothers. Apparently they were known on the campus for
bullies, man. That was bully. Go on, say it, man. They was bullies. Yeah. They were bullies.
And look, I have no way of verifying that, but that's my understanding. But all that would have come out. Okay, but bottom line is nobody. He's not the police. You got a child acting as an enforcer, putting people out the tent. That should have never happened. And the truth is, none of this would have happened had Austin Metcalf not initiated the conflict. We can all agree on that. Whether you like Austin Metcalf and all the white people and all the black people, I know you all want to make this a racial issue. I get that. But these are two children, okay? One of them had a battery in his back thinking it was his job to play security, and another one over-responded and killed him. And now he's dead, and the other young man is dead. He's going to jail for 35 years. So it's a lot of emotions involved. It's a lot of young men who didn't have emotional control and who overstepped their bounds, and other young men who responded disproportionately. We can get that. So what do we do from here? You see what I mean? Where we go from here?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. Where do we go from here? Like I would submit to you that the reason why we're here is because you have white guys like Austin Metcalf who think that their whiteness self-deputizes them. They think that they have control over black bodies and they can make black people do this and that. Move. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Let me see your key. I've never seen you around here. Get away from here. Get from under here. Move around and all this type of stuff. And that is a big problem all around this country, and that needs to be addressed too. See, you can't address one without addressing the other. If Austin has respect for Carmelo and his right to exist and not try to become the damn tent enforcer, we're not here. And it's a lot of dudes that do that. A lot of these dudes behave that way because they believe the system is going to protect them. And they also believe that black people will not fight back. That is the reason why he did it in the first place. You don't see black people doing that. You never hear about black people walking up to white people saying you don't belong here.
Yeah, but I hear black people walking up to black people saying you don't belong here.
You're right about that. And that's bad.
Look, Willie, I'm not. Bullying has been around since.
You're absolutely right about
that. Bullying has been around. This is not something that's germane to one race or other. We have, look, man, look. It's part of human nature. We got kids who are bullies. Oftentimes, kids who are bullied themselves. But the way you fix the bully is you punch them right in the nose, and then they learn their lesson. Now, we can't do that like we used to do it back in the day. So go ahead and call the police and put some people on them. But the bottom line is this is not, look, there's plenty of racial issues we can talk about. But this issue, I think the adults have injected race into this. I think the adults who play the racist game, these are two kids, basically two young men. I mean, both of them play football. They play for opposite teams. Carmelo Anthony wasn't just under the tent being quiet. He was under there talking stuff, so he wasn't scared. Look, let me tell you, we always talk about Carmelo was scared. Carmelo was under there saying, touch me again. That don't sound like scary to me. That sounds like I wish you would to me.
He don't have to be a coward to defend himself.
Yeah, but it don't mean he was afraid. So you can't say I was afraid for my life if you weren't afraid. That's the thing. And that's why the whole self-defense, if you're afraid for your life to the point that you have to use deadly force to protect your life, that's one thing. But Carmelo Anthony, and that's just one little piece of evidence. I'm sitting in here, I'm under this tent.
All right, now let's be real. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this real quick. If Carmelo Anthony was white and he was approached by a group of black people, and let's say Carmelo Anthony's name was Little Billy, a white boy by the name of Little Billy. Let's say Little Billy sits under a tent, but he doesn't go to that school, and some black bullies confront him and push him and come at him being very aggressive. And Billy tells the black bully to not put their hands on him. The black bully decides to put his hands on Billy anyway. Billy stabs the black bully. Do you think white people gonna campaign for a first-degree murder charge for Little Billy? Absolutely not. Come on, y'all. Let's use common sense. There's no way that if Carmelo was white and his name was Little Billy and Little Billy stabbed a big black bully, there's no way that white people would campaign for Little Billy to go to prison on a first-degree murder charge. You know what them white people gonna say? Billy was defending himself against those black thugs. They were trying to bully him. They were picking on Billy. They were bullying him. There's no way in the world that white society would campaign for Little Billy to go to prison on a first-degree murder charge for stabbing a black bully. There's no way white folks would campaign for that. And we all know it.
I'm talking stuff. This is not, look, there's plenty of racial issues we can talk about, but this issue, I think the adults have injected race into this. I think the adults who play the racist game, these are two kids, basically two young men. I mean, both of them play football. They play for opposite teams. Carmelo Anthony wasn't just under the tent being quiet. He was under there talking stuff, so he wasn't scared. Look, let me tell you, we always talk about Carmelo was scared. Carmelo was under there saying, touch me again. That don't sound like scary to me. That sounds like I wish you would to me.
He don't have to be a coward to defend himself.
Yeah, but it don't mean he was afraid. So you can't say I was afraid for my life if you weren't afraid. That's the thing. And that's why the whole self-defense, if you're afraid for your life to the point that you have to use deadly force to protect your life, that's one thing. But Carmelo Anthony, and that's just one little piece of evidence. I'm sitting in here, I'm under this tent, I'm talking stuff. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Your team is ass. That's what he said about Austin Metcalf.
It don't matter how many times. Now, I will say this, right? Now, if I'm sitting under a tent, I got to be real. And a group of guys say, man, we don't want you here, man. This is our team. As long as they don't put their hands on me, I'm going to say, okay, well, I don't want to be here if y'all don't want me to be here. I'm going to bounce. It ain't about you. It ain't about you being a punk. Now, if they come at you aggressive and put their hands on you and tell you to leave, that's something different. Now, if they come up and say, man, can you leave? We this is our team. We're having a secret meeting. We don't want anybody that's not on the team over here. Can you leave? You know what I would have said? Okay, cool. I'm a bounce. Because me, I don't want to be somewhere where I don't want to be somewhere where I'm not wanted. I just don't want to be somewhere where I'm not wanted. I that's just me. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's me. But anyway, but like I said, we don't know if they came up to Carmelo with that energy. That's why it's very important for us to get the video so that we can see what happened inside of the tent. They're showing us videos of what happened outside of the tent. We need the videos to show what we need a video to prove what happened inside of the tent. Who's to say they could have came up to Carmelo like, hey, you monkey, get up out of here. They could have came at Carmelo very aggressive, and he had no choice but to defend himself. Who's to say that those people didn't come up, who didn't, like, we don't know. They could have came at him very aggressive. But then, of course, white people are going to say, well, it was just a soft push. There's no such thing as a soft push. A soft push is a sign of aggression. Whether somebody pushes you soft or pushes you hard, that is a clear sign of aggression. If I warn you to not put your hands on me and you push me anyway, oh, you think I'm playing. You don't think fat meat is greasy. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to lay down this demonstration. Now, you might say, well, that's why Carmelo got 35 years in prison, and that's why Austin is dead. Austin is no longer here, and Carmelo's going to prison. So if you really want to get technical, we can say that both people were wrong. Austin was wrong for putting his hands on him, and maybe Carmelo should have left once he realized that he wasn't wanted over there. So my advice to black people, never stay somewhere where you're not wanted. If you're not wanted there, why stay? That's my advice to black people. We're talking about prevention, not damage control. That's my advice to black people. We're talking about prevention, not damage control. Damage control is when you got to fight for your life and try to come home in lesser time. Now you're doing damage control. I'm talking about prevention. I'm talking about avoiding the whole situation in the first place. I had some cat to tell me, like, there was a shooting in Senatobia, Mississippi, where they said that these black girls were stealing, right? And you had black people in my comment section being emotional. I said this: if the police got guns drawn on you and they're on both sides of your vehicle and you pull out fast while hitting the accelerator, they're gonna shoot you. I'm trying to keep black people alive. I'm not here to complain. What I'm saying is this: that baby would still be alive today. When them cops came up to the car, she should have stopped the vehicle and put her hands up. If you wasn't stealing, what was the purpose of pulling off? And what's the purpose in running if you know you wasn't stealing? If you wasn't stealing, why run? Oh, you taking up for white people, man. Shut your dumb ass up. You sound stupid. I'm trying to keep black people alive by giving them some damn police etiquette. There's certain things that you do and you don't do when you encounter police. One thing that you don't do is this: if the police got guns out and they're on both sides of the vehicle, if you pull off fast and hit the accelerator, they're going to say that you're using your vehicle as a weapon and they're going to open fire on your dumb ass. I'm trying to keep black people alive. I'm not emotional about it. I'm thinking about prevention, not damage control. They wasn't stealing anything. Okay, if she didn't steal anything, that was more reason for her to stop the vehicle. I'm trying to keep y'all dumbasses alive, man. Police etiquette. Please learn it. If that young girl wasn't stealing, there's no reason for her to pull off while the police got guns drawn. She put her life in danger. She put everybody in that car's life in danger by peeling off while the police got guns drawn.
Cavs football team, and he played for another team. And then he said, touch me again. That don't sound like fear to me. I know what fear sounds like, and that doesn't sound like fear. And so, this is what the jury heard. And so we always have to go back to, was this,
anytime you pull off fast when the police got guns drawn on you and they're on both sides of your vehicles, you hit the accelerator and pull off fast, they're going to shoot you. And their justification will be this: he used his car as a weapon, so we was forced to open fire. Why put your life in danger by doing that? If you know that you're not guilty, put your hands up and get out of the damn car. Put your damn hands up and get out of the damn car. You live to see another day.
Verdict valid. Did they have evidence to substantiate the elements necessary?
Now, I'm not saying that the police wasn't wrong. Clearly, the police was wrong. I know they're wrong, but I'm trying to save black people's lives by giving them some damn police etiquette. We know. Anyway, let's go. Hopefully you guys get the point, those of you with common sense. What's the point in arguing in court after you're dead, after a baby is dead? We're trying to prevent bullshit like that from happening. Never give the police an excuse to shoot you. Now, you might say they did it anyway. There's cases where yes, you're right? But at the same time, some simple police etiquette could have saved that young baby's life. That young baby, that 1-year-old, would still be alive today if the dumbass driver would have just stopped the vehicle and say, hey, man, we ain't stealing. I'll get out of the vehicle. You can search it. If she would have did that, that baby would still be alive today. I'm not excusing the behavior of the police officers because I think what they did was pure sick and evil. I would never shoot into a vehicle with a damn baby in it. I would never do that. So middle finger to the police officers as well. But at the same time, I'm trying to keep your black ass alive.
Prove murder and the play for opposite teams. Carmelo Anthony wasn't just under the tent being quiet. He was under there talking stuff, so he wasn't scared. Look, let me tell you, we always talk about Carmelo was scared. Carmelo was under there saying, touch me again. That don't sound like scary to me. That sounds like I wish you would to me.
He don't have to be a coward to defend himself.
Yeah, but it don't mean he was afraid. So you can't say I was afraid for my life if you weren't afraid. That's the thing, and that's why the whole self-defense, if you're afraid for your life to the point that you have to use deadly force to protect your life, that's one thing. But Carmelo Anthony, and that's just one little piece of evidence. I'm sitting in here, I'm under this tent, I'm talking stuff. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Your team is ass. That's what he said about Austin Metcalf's football team, and he played for another team. And then he said, touch me again. That don't sound like fear to me. I know what fear sounds like, and that doesn't sound like fear. And so, this is what the jury heard. And so we always have to go back.
The same situation happened in 2023. I covered the story in 2004, where this black female in Columbus, Ohio, she was pregnant. She was stealing liquor. She came outside of the liquor store, the grocery or the liquor store, whatever it was. She hops in her vehicle. When she hops in her vehicle, the police pull up to her with guns drawn. And they like, hey, stop the car. Instead of her stopping the car, she pulls off fast. She accelerates. They open fire and unalives her and her unborn baby. Was it really worth it? Now, you can say that the police was assholes. I'm not denying that. I'm trying to keep your ass alive by having some simple police etiquette. That pregnant woman in Ohio decided to accelerate while the police surrounded her vehicle with weapons. When she decided to accelerate, they opened fire. She was pregnant at the time. They unalived her and her unborn baby, all because she decided to drive off instead of getting out of the damn vehicle. If she would have followed simple orders, she would still be alive today. Now we can say, well, it's messed up. They wouldn't have did that. They wouldn't have never did that if that was a white woman. Okay, let's say that's true. You still got to move accordingly. You're black. You're not white. You're not going to get away with the same shit that white people do. Complaining about it ain't going to keep you alive. Having police etiquette will keep your black ass alive. Let's be real. If we know we don't get treated the same as white people, you can't afford to make the same mistakes then, fool.
So was this verdict valid? Did they have evidence to substantiate the elements necessary to prove murder? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, she stole some liquor. This was Ohio. This case is similar. She stole some liquor, and it's like black people don't never learn, man. It's like, when do we learn from the mistakes of other people? At what point do we learn? Anytime police got guns on you and they got your vehicle surrounded, you decide to hit the accelerator and pull off, they're gonna shoot you, man. When will black people learn you can't get away with the same stuff that white people? Well, if she was white, they would have never did that. Maybe you right. Do you want to live to see another day, or do you want to be dead complaining about, well, they wouldn't do that to a white woman? Think about living to see another day, man. That black chick in Mississippi did the same thing that black chick in Ohio did back in 2023. She repeated the cycle and got the same result. The only difference is the baby got unalived. The damn driver didn't get killed. She got shot, but she got shot, but she's still living. A 1-year-old baby lost their life in the process due to her ignorance. Instead of her stopping the vehicle and saying, we didn't steal nothing, you can search the vehicle, let me get out. Instead of her doing that, she decided to hit the damn accelerator with guns drawn on her.
Answer is yes, and it's going to remain yes. Now we can pick apart what they saw, what evidence, what weight they gave each piece of evidence. But the question is, when the appellate court
black people, you need to understand, they're not going to let you get away with the same thing that white people do. So with that being said, you need to move accordingly. You need to act accordingly if you want to live to see another day. Complaining about it ain't going to keep your black ass alive. Having some police etiquette will. I'm trying to teach you how to stay alive. You want to complain about the fact, you want to complain about it after somebody's dead.
Looks at this, they're going to say, well, we think that the verdict is valid. Now, had you had 2 or 3 black jurors on there, you might have got a holdout. They may have come to a determination. Look, we don't believe murder, but we will agree with manslaughter. So we can come to that consensus and get a unanimous agreement. We'll do manslaughter. That's the point of having a black juror in there, because it only takes 1 to hold out to get a hung jury. And so had you had 3 black people on the jury, and remember, this wasn't an all-white jury. I think it wasn't an all-white jury. It was other people, but my understanding was no black people. But that's why they wanted to get rid of the black jurors, because they might have held out for manslaughter. There was no way to.
You know how many times the police pulled guns on me? I had it happen several times. I can't even count. You know why my black ass, my high yellow black ass is still alive today? Because I got police etiquette. I know what not to do and what to do. Now, you can say some black people followed the rules and still lost their lives. Well, you can lose your life in the car even if you got a seatbelt on, but it's still smarter to put a seatbelt on opposed to not putting one on. You get my point. Hopefully, those of you with common sense get my point. You can die in a car accident with a seatbelt on, but it's still wise to put a damn seatbelt on. Having police etiquette can save your life, even though police officers have unalived black people who followed the rules. But you got a better chance of living having some damn police etiquette compared to not having it. Let's be real about this situation. Yes, hey, homies, let's use logic and common sense for survival. You want to live to see another day. Let's go.
Young man was going to be exonerated and go home that day. He was going to go to prison. The question was manslaughter or murder.
I've had the police pull guns on me several times, man. And I knew exactly what to do because I understand. I got police etiquette. She could have easily stopped that baby from getting shot. All she had to do was say, okay, we didn't steal nothing. You can search the vehicle. Even if she did steal something, why put everybody's lives at risk for some damn Pampers, for some damn diapers? Take your lick. If you did steal something, my thing is this. If you didn't steal anything, why would she run? We're going to get right back into the Carmelo Anthony story and the Carmelo Anthony situation. If she didn't steal anything, why did she pull off? If somebody's innocent, they're not going to run. People who are guilty are usually the ones who run. When people haven't done anything, they don't run. They stop and say, hey, man, what's the problem? I didn't steal anything. You can check my vehicle. What's the purpose of her running if she didn't steal anything? I'm just trying to make common sense out of the situation. I'm not condoning the police officer opening fire and unaliving that 1-year-old baby. Trust and believe, I am not. But at the same time, if you didn't steal anything, what was the purpose of running?
a black juror may have made them hold out, and you're gonna sit in this room. We're not gonna be here for 4 hours. We're gonna be here for 4 or 5.
And then this goes back to a bigger problem. Okay, you don't have diapers for your baby. One thing I noticed is the baby had the same last name as the mother, and we know the mother ain't married. The mother of the baby was a 20-year-old black female in Centobia, Mississippi. She was 20 years old. The baby had her name. She's not married, so the baby didn't take the last name of the father. So what does that say? She had a baby. She's living in poverty. So it looked like, I know black people gonna get mad about, I don't give a damn if you get mad. I'm telling the truth. Middle finger to your damn feelings. I'm dealing with logic and common sense. It appears that they stole, because my thing is this: if she didn't steal from the grocery store, what was the purpose of running, man? It all goes back to promiscuity and poverty in the black community. You're still in diapers because you're in poverty, and the baby daddy, you ain't with the baby daddy, you ain't married, but you're having sex and you're having babies. You're having babies that you can't afford to take care of. That's a major problem. It's a major problem. Why you think they lock up the baby formula in Walmart now? Haven't you guys noticed? Like when you go to Walmart, haven't you noticed that they lock up the baby formula? You got to ring the bell and call an attendant to get the baby, because people were stealing the hell out of that baby formula. Hell yeah, they were stealing it. So you can't just walk up and grab the baby formula. You got to press a button for an employee to come up and assist you so that they can open the glass up to give you the formula, because so many ratchets and hood rats were stealing baby formula, because a lot of these chicks are having babies with no damn money, but they're hot, they're horny, they're still having sex, they're having babies that they can't afford, man. That's why they got to steal diapers at Walmart. That's not me putting my people down. That's giving us a reality check. Stop having babies if you're not married. Stop having babies with ninjas that's not going to help you to take care of the damn baby. When you are promiscuous and you hiding the pants and you're having sex with guys that you attracted to, the baby got her last name. The baby don't have the father last name. That told me everything I needed to know.
In 15 days. And when you have somebody who kicks back on their heels.
If she had the receipt, my thing is this: why would you run if you didn't steal anything? I want everybody to answer that simple question. I'm not saying that she stole or she didn't steal. My thing is this: if you didn't steal anything, what was the purpose in running? If I'm innocent, why would I run? Why would I put my life at risk? Why would I risk getting a felony? Why would I risk getting a felony invasion charge? Why would you risk catching a felony by pulling off and running from the police if you didn't steal anything? The smart thing to do was, okay, let me pull over and show my receipt. Why would her homegirl pull off if she wasn't stealing anything? Now, the mother of the child said they was pursuing my homegirl, not me. So what I think was, what she's saying is, I wasn't stealing, my homegirl was stealing. Either way, the baby is gone and it's a bad situation. Rest in peace to the toddler. Let's get back into this, man. I had to talk about that because it's very important. I'm trying to put black people up on game, man.
Plants their feet in the sand, say, no, I don't believe it's murder. I believe it's self-defense. We can do manslaughter. And then, but that was the reason why they wanted to get rid of those black jurors. And that's why I think
the mom wasn't driving. Her stupid ass friend was driving. It was her friend that was driving. Straight up.
Going to be overturned. But that's the only reason. I think the verdict was valid. However, the jury played a part in it. And as they always say, that you know the outcome of a case after
right. Stealing something like that is a damn ticket. You can pay off as just a damn fine. So if you're not guilty, if you didn't steal anything, why would you run from the police? Simple question.
After the jury is impaneled, and in this particular case, same thing with O.J. Simpson. We knew what was going to happen once we saw the jury. It was over. It was acquittal. So, and that was that's the magnificence of the practice of law. The case is typically won when the jury is impaneled, and that's the things people don't know. So you want more black people to get out of jail? Y'all sit for jury duty. That's what you do. Stop trying to pretend like your mama's sick and you got to go to work and you got a medical condition that won't let you sit for jury. Stop ignoring. That's what you do.
Do you think that the jury put more weight on video evidence or witness testimony, eyewitness testimony?
I don't know, man, and I don't think that they questioned the jury after the jury polled. It's called poll. I don't think they polled the jury after the jury left. I'm sure at some point some of these jurors will come up with a book and we'll know what happened, because typically on all these famous cases is always.
He keeps saying nobody ran. Clearly they pulled off. That's why the police opened fire. Nobody ran. When you get in the vehicle and hit the accelerator, that's running. Where's your antennas? Where's your common sense? Where's your thinking cap?
Somebody who does an interview, but I'm not sure. I don't know what the jury did, but I know that there was enough evidence for them to convict. That's what I do know. And that's my only point. Was there enough evidence for the jury to convict? Was there enough valid, admissible evidence for the jury to convict? And that's the question that I look at. And my answer is yes, there was. And you see what they did. Again, the only question.
Right. OJ was a millionaire, so OJ could afford to hire the best attorney. OJ didn't have to get a GoFundMe. OJ didn't need a GoFundMe. You know, OJ was he had the money for his own legal defense. I went to Mount Vernon Junior High in Los Angeles on Washington, right before you get to Crenshaw Boulevard on Washington in Los Angeles, the west side of Los Angeles. That's where I'm from, right? From the west side. So I went to Mount Vernon Junior High on Washington, like right before you get to Crenshaw. See, they named that whole school after Johnny Cochran, because Johnny Cochran went to LA High and Mount Vernon. I went to the same schools that Johnny Cochran went to. I went to Mount Vernon and LA High, just like Johnny Cochran. So they named Mount Vernon, my middle school that I went to, after the great Johnny Cochran. So OJ had the money to hire Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran fought for OJ Simpson. That white man that they had defending KARMELO really wasn't fighting for KARMELO. He's a bootleg lawyer, but he wanted a whole lot of money. And this is another thing. They accused the family of misusing the money. Most of that money went to that damn attorney. The lawyer, the attorney, most of the money went to him. That's where most of the money went. But white people wanted to convince everybody that the parents was misusing the money. They were buying vehicles and cars, and they didn't give a damn about KARMELO. I don't believe that. You're not going to convince me that they don't care about KARMELO. Maybe they were ignorant to some of the facts because they don't have experience when it comes to dealing with law. They don't have experience. They don't know how the courts work. So they were ignorant to a lot of the facts. Doesn't make them bad people or bad parents. They just didn't know. White people gonna tell us to not support the Anthony family while they send $1 million to support Chud the Builder, while they raise $3 million to exonerate Daniel Penny, while they raise $1 million in George Zimmerman defense, while they sent $1 million to Shiloh Hendricks, who's only known for calling a black child an N-word. See, it's okay when they support white supremacists or when they raise millions to defend white people and white supremacy. But it's a problem because you wanted to support the Anthony family. You know what white people told black people? You guys are supporting a murderer. The family is misusing the money, and you blacks are supporting the murderer. You know how many dumbass black people ate that up and fell for it? While these are the same white people who send millions and donate millions to white folks and white supremacists, especially when they do something to a black person. How you gonna let some white supremacists shame you into not supporting your own people when they raise millions to support white supremacy all the time? How you gonna let a bunch of racist people who support white supremacy financially, how you gonna let them shame you into not supporting your own people when they donate millions to stone cold racists like Chud the Builder and Shiloh Hendricks? They'll donate millions to white supremacists, but they gonna tell you that you shouldn't support your own people. How dumb you gotta be to listen to that.
The question is whether or not this was gonna be manslaughter or murder. They elected murder. So that's the difference.
Sounds like you think that he was overcharged.
I think it was a range. You know, I think it was a range. I think it could have been manslaughter.
White people are telling us to not support the Anthony family while they donate millions to Chud the Builder, while they donate millions to Daniel Penny, while they donate $1 million to Shiloh Hendricks, but they're going to tell you to not support your people. when they ain't got a problem with supporting white supremacists. You a fool if you listen to these people.
And it could have been murder. I think capital murder would have been overcharging. I do think that, because it wasn't premeditated. He didn't kill multiple people. He wasn't in the commission of committing some aggravated crime. The victim wasn't under the age of 10. So that would have been overcharging. In this case, it was arranged, and that's why they have something called lesser included charges. You charge them with murder on the indictment, and then a lesser included charge is manslaughter.
They want to shame you so that you don't support your people while they send millions to white supremacists. Come on, people, wake up and see what's going on. You better not support the Anthony family. If you support Carmelo Anthony, you're supporting a murderer. The family is misusing the money while they donate millions to white supremacists, especially when they harm black people.
Which I believe the judge laid out in the jury charges. So
my thing is this: Carmelo Anthony was not gonna walk away with self-defense. He was not gonna walk away with self-defense. The moment they seen there was no blacks on the jury, they should have understood. He should have knew, like, at some point he should have said, this is a setup. I'm not gonna let my client go to trial with no blacks on that jury. That was the lawyer, that was the attorney's job to handle that. My client is not going to trial with not one black person on the jury. So the attorney, the lawyer, didn't do his damn job. At the end of the day, Carmelo Anthony was going to prison regardless. There's no way that he was going to get off by claiming self-defense. The best they could have did for Carmelo was reckless homicide or you know what I'm saying, manslaughter, to the point to where he could get 10 and come home in 4 to 5 years. There's no way these white people, there's no way these white folks was gonna let Carmelo walk off by with a claim of self-defense. White folks are still pissed off about O.J. Simpson. Let me say that again. White folks are still pissed off about O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty, but in the eyes of white people, he's still guilty. So at the end of the day, white people are still pissed off about O.J. Simpson. There's no way they was going to let Carmelo Anthony walk scot-free with a self-defense claim. At the end of the day, he's going to go to prison. The thing is, for how long? We're trying to minimize the amount of time that he gets. At this point, we're just doing damage control. We're trying to get him less time as possible. That's the main goal, because there's no way that you're going to walk away scot-free by claiming self-defense. The only exception to that is unless they show us the video, unless they show us what happened in that tent, and then beyond a reasonable doubt, he can say that, hey, man, I was being approached by multiple people. I told them not to put their hands on me. Then I stabbed this guy to defend myself. We would need evidence to prove that was the case. That's the only way Carmelo worked. That's the only way he walks on a self-defense claim. Other than that, there's no way white people was going to let Carmelo Anthony walk scot-free with a claim of self-defense. There's no way white people was going to let him do that. White folks are still pissed off about O.J. Simpson, man.
Included, but they didn't want manslaughter. They saw murder. And that's it. And this is where we are. I know it, man. Look, good kid. Good. The boy had no history, a criminal record, good grades. He was a good kid, you know, but this is what happens. And this is the problem with emotionalism. And this is why we got to teach our sons to control this. I'm going to say something. This real chauvinist. I'm about to say it's going to be real chauvinist. I don't care if they don't like me. But back in the day, we were taught boys don't cry. And now at this age, I understand why we used to teach, why the old people used to teach little boys don't cry. Little girls can cry. Little boys can't cry, because if you allow them to fully embrace all those emotions, sadness is not the only one. Anger comes with that. Fear comes with that. And the reason we don't want men in our society, all men, to just always embrace their emotions, because they'll go too far with it. Now you got an emotional man.
I know there's cameras. They're showing us what happened outside of the tent, but they're not showing us what happened inside of the tent. And I think we all know why.
People used to teach little boys don't cry. Little girls, something called lesser included charges. You charge them with murder on the indictment, and then a lesser included charge is manslaughter, which I believe the judge laid out in the jury charges. So it was included, but they didn't want manslaughter. They saw murder. That's it. And this is where we are. I know it, man. Look, good kid. Good. The boy had no history, a criminal record, good grades. He was a good kid, you know. But this is what happens, and this is the problem with emotionalism. And this is why we got to teach our sons to control. They say, I'm gonna say something. It's real chauvinist. I'm about to say it's gonna be real chauvinist. I don't care if they don't like me. But back in the day,
of course they had multiple cameras. We know they had multiple cameras, but they only want to show us what happened outside of the tent. They don't want to show us what happened inside of that tent. We know why.
We were taught boys don't cry. And now at this age, I understand why we used to teach, why the old people used to teach little boys don't cry. Little girls can cry. Little boys can't cry because if you
somebody said it would expose Carmelo's history of being a menace. Well, how come they didn't show Austin Metcalf's history of being a menace? They were known bullies. Carmelo wasn't known to bully anybody. Carmelo don't have a criminal history, so you talking stupid. You're dumb. You're dumb for thinking that we're dumb. We know the truth. The Austin brothers were known for being bullies. Carmelo wasn't known for being a bully. Carmelo don't even have a damn criminal record prior to this whole situation going down.
Allow them to fully embrace all those emotions. Sadness is not.
It's not wise for Carmelo to take a stand. The first thing that you need to do is gather all the evidence. Gather all the evidence before you let Carmelo speak. Carmelo wasn't ready to take the stand. How come Hunter Metcalf didn't take the stand? Hunter Metcalf didn't take the stand. Guess what? Hunter was right there when his brother got stabbed. How come he didn't take the stand? Because I think we know why. Hunter Metcalf was caught lying. He changed his story at least 3 times. Hunter Metcalf lied about what happened. That's the main reason why they never let Hunter Metcalf give his testimony, because Hunter Metcalf was caught in several lies. That's why they said, nah, if Hunter Metcalf takes a stand, he might mess up the whole case. We don't want Hunter to mess up the case, so we're not going to let him get on that stand. Right back at you.
The only one. Anger comes with that. Fear comes with that. And the reason we don't want men in our society, all men, to just always embrace their emotions, because they'll go too far with it. Now you got an emotional man, whether he's angry, whether he's fearful, whether he's sad, he's going too far. And this is why we limit our boys in this society to control their emotions. And that's part of the training. And this is what I've taught my sons. This is a hard lesson that a lot of men have to learn. Bro, I know one thing. I know, you know, Carmelo been in there a week. And if some of them OGs would take him under his wing, they'll say, son, at least you got a date. Because some of us got 250 years. We never getting out of here. You got a date. On top of that, you young. So you're going to get out of here and you're going to still be a baby. You're going to be 35 years old. You up for probation. So, and they're also going to say after, if he's willing to talk about it, because I'm sure he's been in there crying. You know how that is. Look, man, I'm going to tell you something, man. I worked in Lake Charles, Louisiana as a law clerk. And they would just bring bodies in. I worked for a black judge now, and his name was Judge Wilford Carter. He's famous over there. 5 o'clock, he goes home. 5 o'clock, they go with that man in that gray van. And I would see literally thousands of young men of all colors every year getting football numbers. And we go to lunch, come back, here goes some more football. It don't mean anything to these people. This is a process. The criminal justice system is an animal that needs to be fed, and they're gonna throw bodies in there. And what they do is throw people in there who can't control themselves, and they throw people in there who are undesirable. You see, and you can read into that what you want. But the bottom line, when you get,
people kept saying that Carmelo should have took the plea. I don't know if a plea deal was ever offered. I don't know, man. Chris Norwood said that a plea deal was never offered. I've never heard a plea deal being on the table. The white people wanted first-degree murder. They wanted Carmelo to do 35 years or better. So I don't know if there was a plea. I don't know if they ever offered a plea deal. I never heard of a plea deal being offered. Now, if they did offer a plea deal, please put me up on game. I'm willing to listen. I'm just saying that I never heard of it. I'm not saying that they didn't. I don't know about it. So if these people offered a plea deal, lay it on the table and maybe we can talk about it.
Get into that system. Oftentimes there are OGs in there who will sit down and talk to you and say, yeah, nephew, you should have controlled yourself, man. It wasn't worth it. You in here for some childhood schoolyard stuff. You in here for some, you got 35 years for something that you could have just walked away from. And that's just good old fashioned common sense. Anybody who loves their child is going to tell them, look, man, walk away if you can. That don't mean you a punk. I done walked away from plenty. And I know you have too, because we wouldn't be here where we are. Anybody in the public who has a problem with that, they're here to see the circus. They're here to see the chaos. They don't care nothing about Carmelo Anthony's family. They don't care about Austin Metcalf. They just want to see a spectacle. And that's the truth. What you and I are doing right here, both fathers, is,
my thing is this. If they was going to give Carmelo Anthony reckless homicide, get 10 years and come home in 5, that's the best deal he was going to get. There's no way that white folks was going to let Carmelo Anthony just walk free. The only exception to that, now you do have a chance because nothing is impossible, but I truly believe that white people did everything in their power to get this conviction on Carmelo. They didn't want Carmelo to get off with a claim of self-defense. That's the last thing that white people wanted to happen. So they did everything in their power so it wouldn't happen. They did everything in their power to get a conviction of 35 years.
Speaking honestly, that you're as passionate about how you feel, and I'm just saying, bro, this is what the law says. I don't like this.
The only way Carmelo walks free is if they shows what happened. The only way he gets free, and this is my theory, let's say they got a video to show what happened inside of the tent, because like I said earlier, they're showing us what happened outside of the tent. They're not showing us what happened inside of the tent. Now, if there's a video out there that proved that Carmelo was being confronted by multiple people, being met with a lot of aggression, and he whips out the knife and stabs Austin, that's the only chance that he got of walking away scot-free with a claim of self-defense. That's the only chance he got. They would have to produce the video that shows what went on inside of that tent. And the video would have to show that Austin and his friends were being very aggressive towards Carmelo. That's the only way he walks on a claim of self-defense. Outside of that, it's not going to happen. That's the only way.
See that young black man dead, and I don't like to see that young white boy dead either. I don't want to see any children hurt like that, man. We need...
Chris Norwood said there was no plea deal offered. You know, I never heard of a plea deal being offered. I never heard of it. But at the same time, I'm smart enough to know that I don't know everything about this case. Some of you guys know certain things about this case that I don't know. That's why I welcome you guys to come up and give your opinion, give your take on the whole situation. Chris Norwood said that a plea deal was never offered.
You know, we need to, and what they do is throw people in there who can't control themselves, and they throw people in there who are undesirable. You see, and you can read into that what you want. But the bottom line, when you get into that system, oftentimes there are OGs in there who will sit down and talk to you and say, yeah. Now.
And then Charleston White too. Charleston White convinced the Anthony family that going to trial with no blacks on the jury would be okay because they had the facts on their side. And Fat Ass Angry Man said that Charleston White, he took Charleston White's word when Charleston said the family was misusing money. If the family was misusing money, Charleston knew that a long time ago. Charleston just released a video admitting that he played both sides. He used black people. He played on black people's pain and suffering, and he did the same thing to white people. So Charleston played both sides to get his name out there, to get more visibility, to get pushed more in the algorithm, to get his name recognized by white conservatives, to get his name recognized by black activists. Charleston White played both sides of the field for his own benefit. Charleston White convinced the Anthony family that it's not going to be a problem that we don't have blacks on the jury. Trust me, that's not going to be a problem. You know why they believe Charleston? They believe Charleston because he's an activist and he's worked with children. So And on top of that, he has money, fame, and popularity. So that's another reason why they believe Charleston that, oh man, it ain't gonna be a problem. We don't need no blacks on the jury. This ain't gonna be no problem. Charleston White said it himself that he convinced the family to go to trial with no blacks on the jury. Charleston White is a piece of shit. He's a snake. He's that fool only gives a damn about himself, his fame, popularity, and money. Nobody with any common sense should take Charleston White serious when it comes to situations like this. Charleston White is a damn comedian and an entertainer. Leave it at that. Charleston White ain't got no damn business getting involved in somebody. He ain't got no damn business getting involved in a situation like this. He just don't. Nobody in a right mind should take Charleston White serious when it comes to real issues like this. Charleston White is a jester. He's an entertainer. He's a comedian. Leave it at that. Outside of comedy, you ain't got no damn business listening to Charleston White.
You should have controlled yourself, man. It wasn't worth it. You in here for some childhood schoolyard stuff. You in here for something. You got 35 years for something that you could have just walked away from. And that's just good old-fashioned common sense. Anybody who loves their child is going to tell them, look, man, walk away if you can. That don't mean you a punk. I done walked away from plenty.
I agree with that, because if Carmelo wasn't wanted inside of that tent, he should have just left. The moment I realized that I wasn't wanted, I would have just left to avoid problems, because I understand these are white people. This is a white county. It's not going to work in my favor if I harm somebody. So let me just get up out of here. As long as you're not putting your hands on me, I don't give a damn. Now, once you put your hands on me, it's on. I'm forced to defend myself. You see what I'm saying?
And I know you have too, because we wouldn't be here where we are. Anybody in the public who has a problem with that, they're here to see the circus. They're here to see the chaos. They don't care nothing about Carmelo Anthony's family. They don't care about Austin Metcalf. They just want to see a spectacle. And that's the truth. What you and I are doing right here, both fathers, is, we're speaking honestly, that you're as passionate about how you feel. And I'm just saying, bro, this is what the law says. I don't like to see that young black man dead, and I don't like to see that young white boy dead either. I don't want to see any children hurt like that, man. We need, we need to tone the rhetoric down, man. It's not getting any better. It's just making things worse. And so all I'm doing is coming here throwing some water on that fire that you've been spitting, bro. But hey, that's all I got, brother.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
All right, man, we're going to wrap this one up, man. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. That's realer than rap, man. No cap, no baseball hat, no fitted cap. So make sure that you guys subscribe. Make sure that you guys hype the video, like the video, share the video. Do everything you can in support of your player partner, King Supreme. I'm going to continue to drop hot content on a daily basis. I'm going to get up out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Shout out to all the people, the black women, the brothers who supported the channel, who supported the podcast today. I appreciate you all. And I'm going to get up out of here, y'all. Peace, love, and blessings, giving you gain to keep you from stressing. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. I'm gone.